I never thought I would pick it up and never put it down. Never thought I would get so high and end up underground. Never thought. That's the problem, bro. I never thought. Dancing with the devil like he's soft, despite his repertoire dripping. Flirted with attraction until it turned to addiction. Lived in a reality predicated on fiction. Decimated the man in me, separated from family, locked inside my insanity. That indeed was a prison. Truth is I'm enslaved, so who gon' set me free? Hate it. Screaming in the mirror like please let me be. Wonder if there's freedom or if this is just a death to me. Satan gave me hell without parole, I can't accept the plea. I was living so demonic, always had to keep a dollar bill with coke inside. It wasn't long before my choices would result in violence. Hopeless, dying, broken, crying until God above came and took this yoke of bondage and he turned me to a hopeaholic. I'm a hopeaholic. I'm a hopeaholic, recovering out loud cause you won't get silent, yeah. I'm a hopeaholic, recovering out loud cause you won't get silent, yeah. I'm a hopeaholic. I'm a hopeaholic. I'm a hopeaholic. Tell 'em I'm a hopeaholic, recovering out loud cause you won't get silent, yeah. It's EG. Welcome to the hopeaholic. Shalom, I'm sharing the live. You struggling, come struggle with us. You ain't gotta struggle by yourself, man. Let's struggle together, overcome. Do whatever it is that you gotta do to get better, baby. You're not alone. Fight, fight, fight. As long as there's breath in your lungs, you can fight. You better fight. Even without that fighting chance, man, you still got it, baby. You blessed. Hey. Welcome everybody to the room. We'll listen to another one or two while we fill the room up.
Last one was a miss. Tried to talk to God about my feelings for them. I didn't help you down for like a decade. What is this? Fighting, fussing, cussing. I did everything but quit. Yeah. Hey. Here we go again. Started out my faith and feel my emptiness with sin.
Shalom, family. Shalom, Keita. Miss Living.
I know how it's going. Nothing you can say to me. Ain't nobody gonna play with me. Used to praise and faithfully.
Welcome everybody coming into the room.
Can you pray for me? Well, tell me who gon' pray for me. Nothing but this thirsty. How much more you gon' take from me? Thought it was too late for me. With all the pain my eyes have seen. Fought my way up out the darkness with a scope and laser beam. He ain't really what it seemed. The devil reversed everything. I know the trick is living with you.
Shalom, everyone.
Tell him that he tried. Gave it all I can. And gave the rest to God. Never changed up. Never gave up. So when you look at me, you know just what we made. I gotta look my girls in their eyes. Tell them that he tried. I gave it all I can. And I gave the rest to God. I never changed up. I never gave up. So when you look at me, you know just what we made of.
Hey, you know what we made of.
Chance to do it. But the fact that I didn't must mean there's more to it. And it gotta be purpose, so it wouldn't have put me through.
Shalom, Master P.
With me, or I would have been through it. Nah, before I came, I can't be shamed. Face debilitating pain, I didn't beat it again. Nothing stay the same, only change.
Tap the screen, share the live.
Just know what you taking from me. Run it, never run it.
Build up those merits.
Act as if it is, cause you might be the only limit. Disregard and found it fears, fake your only
praises. Shalom, Britt. Shalom, Bonsell.
Probably ain't from God. Powers in his presence, I done seen through the facade. One line riding on it. I got a
Shalom, Makita.
Tell him that he tried. Gave it all I can and gave the rest to God. Never changed up, never gave up.
Hey.
So when you look at me, you know just what we made. I gotta look my girls in their eyes. Tell them that he tried. I gave it all I can and I gave the rest to God.
Hey.
I never changed up, I never gave up. So when you look at me, you know just what we made. I gotta look my girls.
Share the live.
I gave it all I can and I gave the rest to God. I never changed up, I never gave
Welcome
up.
to the room, everyone. Hey. Oh, praises. All right, we're going to get started right after this one. Or lose our way.
EG, what up?
EG, what up? All praises.
Yeah. Look. Try and be faithful, but sometimes I feel faithless. I don't do it for the money, but as a man, you need to make sense. Try and be humble.
Hey, welcome everybody coming in. Cassie. Kenneth, shalom. C331. What it do? I'm trying to be a good dad. Yeah, that dirty devil want our head up on a platter. Like I can't control it. I guess that's the double edge of being a creative. I know I lose my way if I start thinking that we made it. I'm trying to pay my time, but that 10% is growing. I know if it don't cost me, then I ain't really sowing. I want to be the husband Celeste that she deserves. Want to leave a righteous legacy before I leave this earth. I'm trying to forgive when I hear Shalom, man, bud. Comments, but that's just the flesh on me. Flesh, brother. Always gonna be a couple nays. Shalom, yay, toy. Y'all toy, Ari. It's just Kelsey. Welcome. For Trey and everyone coming into the room. Shalom. When I give out these flows to you. Talk to him, EG. Oh, praises. Don't lose your way.
Brody, I'm trying not to, but if I'm being honest, I feel like I'm about to topple. Feel I'm failing as a father, I'm constantly crying album.
Make sure you got your communion ready.
On me, it's hard to remain a top, bro. Feel like everyone expect from me something that I didn't offer. My daughter don't want to be here and kill me, but I can't stop her. I hug her, tell her I love her, and drop her off with the mama. They want me to minister.
Unleavened bread in your wine.
The orchestra of homes that die in opera. Screaming.
All right, no problem, my brother.
Being frank isn't so easy when they treat you like Sinatra. I drew a line in the sand, told them all where I stand, and you still want me to stand up for something that I am not for. Brody, I am not for taking kiss from their mamas, but I can't get political because Christians get too critical, and I can't get too critical. Christians get political. Western Christianity, pray that I keep my sanity.
Western Christianity, we out of that.
Riches up in heaven, we want vanity. Build the brand before you build the kingdom. Are you
we out of that?
The devil, you gonna have to kill me to get rid of me. It's easy. When we leave something, we lose something. You cannot leave.
About to start. Few minutes.
The precepts of God's word and not lose. It may take a while to catch up with you, but when you leave, you lose. If we're gonna get back what we've lost, we gotta return to what we left.
Oh, praises.
Parents?
All right. Welcome everyone to the barbecue. On this side, a men's rule. We're going to have the biggest barbecue ever. With a righteous rule. In the 1,000-year reign, the biggest barbecue. I'm going to have the first one. We all going to get together. And then when the Father's perfect timing, we're going to all remember who we were in this realm, on this wicked government we under. We're going to be under a righteous rule. We're going to be ruling with Yeshua. All praises. So welcome. So yesterday I read you guys a little bit out of the book of Nathan the prophet. And I said we was going to do a lesson. We're going to do some reading and then talk about who Nathan was. I got my pages printed out. And thank you, everybody who blessed me. Even Cash Apps are even still coming in today. Right before I came on the live, I got one. All praises. Love you guys so much. Was able to get pet food. Just thank you. So we're going to start off with our Jasher. After Jasher, we're going to take communion. Remember our brother. And then we're going to go right into the prophet, Nathan the prophet. And then if we have time, because we're not going to read this whole book, but we're going to read some of it. And then we're going to go over back into the Third Testament, chapter 28, when we was eating on that. And I was supposed to come back to that. And we hadn't went back to it. And it was real heavy and deep about when our loved ones leave us and just what's going on in this era, in this time. It was chapter 28. And we were supposed to go back to, where was it at? We left off at eternal rest, and we're going to start back at the judgment of the spirit by his own conscience. That's what we're going to pick up on. That's what we're going to end on. So it ain't going to be a long lesson today, but we're going to eat as we always do. Shalom, Jeremy. Shalom, Tim. All praises. You won't hear. Shalom, Ezekiel 33. Dorothy, welcome. All right, dear Heavenly Father, we come before you right now, Father, as your humble servants, Most High, asking for your forgiveness, confessing and repenting all sins, transgressions, and iniquities, willful and unwillful for us and our forefathers. Wash us, cleanse us, Father. Make our garments wrinkle-free and spotless, Father. Help us to have our oils for our lamps, Father. Prepare us for the marriage supper. Father, I ask that you send your spirit children to this live to get in the water, Father, to press upon them the urgency of getting in this water as we watch play by play the world deteriorating. Father, I ask that you continue to just touch the saints under these spiritual attacks, the ones that are seeing spirits and the ones that are feeling darkness. I ask that you touch them, Father. Keep your hand on their right shoulder. Father, thank you for using me as your evangelist in this hour, your disciple, your warrior, your daughter. Thank you, Most High. So, Father, thank you for all the provisions that you provided for me, as you always do. Forgive me for having a tad bit of worry. Forgive me, Father. Thank you for the fast today, Father. And everything that I prayed for, I already know is going to happen, Father. Thank you, because I'm bigger than a mustard seed of faith. Bigger than a mustard seed. These things we ask in Yeshua's holy name, so be it. All praises. Shalom, Tasha. And Pretty Black, shalom. All right, so if you following along, I'm reading Jasher. Usually at this time is all of us on here, but I'm still going to put up the paper just in case so people can see that Jasher is mentioned in our Bible. We just never was told about it. Jasher is mentioned in Joshua 10 and 13 in our Bible and 2 Samuel 1 and 18. The book of remembrance is history, Yeshua's timeline, timeline to the second coming. But we're going to read Jasher. And let's see what chapter was we ended. We almost done too. Keep Gucci fit. Yeah, Gucci I tried a new dog food and Gucci like it. He like it. He was acting real funny with the last one that he'd been eating since he was little, but he's been getting sick from it for some reason. But all praises. Thank you guys. All right, so we in Jasher. Yesterday we read chapter 51, and the recap was they had to leave Simeon in Egypt, and they had to bring back Benjamin. And how he knew that his brothers went to Egypt, we're talking about Joseph, was because they had to sign their names in. He did that for a reason, so he'd know when his brothers was going to come by, because all of the areas, surrounding areas, were in famine. No food. So they had to go back and tell Jacob that they have to bring Benjamin back to Egypt. All right. So let's see. And he knew who they were. They still at this time don't know who he was. So we are in Shalom, my sister Shannon, in Knoxville. Barkiel. Okay, we in chapter 52. And they entered their house, and every man opened his sack. And they saw and beheld every man's bundle of money was there. These are his brothers. They went back home in Canaan, and they seen that their money was still in their bag. At which they had their father, seen that their money was there. At which they and their father were greatly terrified, because they didn't want to make it seem like they had stole anything. And Jacob said unto them, what is this that you have done to me? I sent your brother Joseph to inquire after your welfare, and you said unto me, a wild beast did devour him. And Simeon went with you to buy food, and you say the king of Egypt have confined him in prison, and you wish to take Benjamin to cause his unalive also, and bring down my gray hairs and sorrow to the grave on the account of Benjamin and his brother Joseph. Because remember, Benjamin and Joseph had the same mom, Rachel. Rachel was his love. He loved Rachel. All the other ones was Leah. He was tricked into marrying her, and then they had their handmaids, because Rachel thought Rachel was barren at first, and the father blessed her wound on the end. But he like, I done already lost Joseph because y'all said a wild boar got him when I sent him to look for y'all. Then I sent you guys over to Egypt to get corn, and now you said the Egyptians got him in prison, and y'all want to take Benjamin? Now therefore my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is unalive, and he is left alone. And mischief may befall him by way in which you go, as it befell his brother. Mind you, they his brothers too, but he's probably saying that because they got the same mom. And Reuben said unto his father, thou shalt slay my 2 sons, if I do not bring thy son, and place him before thee. And Jacob said unto his sons, abide ye here, and do not go down to Egypt, for my son shall not go down with you to Egypt, nor unalive like his brother. And Judah said unto them, refrain ye from him until the corn is finished. And he will then say, take down your brother, and we will find his own life, in the life of his household, in danger from the famine. So wait a minute. Sorry about that, Sister Chaya. So they said, who was that? It said that Judah. Judah said, just leave him alone. When we run out of food, he gonna say go. He said, just leave him alone. He gonna change his mind here in a minute. And in those days, the famine soared throughout the land, and all the people of the earth went and came to Egypt to buy food, for the famine prevailed greatly among them. And the sons of Jacob remained in Canaan 1 year and 2 months until their corn was finished. And it came to pass, after their corn was finished, the whole household of Jacob was pinched with hunger. And all the infants and the sons of Jacob came together, and they approached Jacob, and they all surrounded him, and they said unto him, give unto us bread, and wherefore we shall perish through hunger in your presence. Shalom, Eagle Eye. I'm going to try to keep up with the chat, but it's very hard for me to read, for me to catch the spirit and teach and read the questions. So the moderators are going to try their best to answer your questions. If it's something that they cannot answer, they'll text it to me, and I'll get it at the top of my phone. And if I can't answer it at that time, I'll definitely message you. If I miss your question, forgive me. Chop it up for me just being in the spirit. Don't charge my heart for it, because I'm not doing it on purpose. I love all of you guys, and I wish to answer every question that I can, but I'm going to try my best to read and look in the chat best way I can. Forgive me for passing by anybody that had a question, and forgive me if the brother was on here yesterday and possibly got off or got kicked out. I don't know what happened. All right, verse 9. Shalom, Teresa. Shalom, Jeshurun Reader. Ema. Jacob heard the words of his son's children, and he wept with a great weeping, and his pity was roused for them. And Jacob called unto his sons, and they all came, and they sat before him. And Jacob said unto them, and have you not seen how your children have been weeping over me this day, saying, give us bread, and there is none? Now therefore return and buy for us a little food. And Judah answered and said unto his father, if thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy corn for you. And thou wilt not send him. If thou wilt not send him, then we will not go down. For surely the king of Egypt particularly enjoined us, saying, you shall not see my face unless your brother be with you. For the king of Egypt is strong, and he's a mighty king. They don't even know it's their brother. And behold, if we go to him without our brother, we shall be put to unalive. I'm in verse 12. Let me turn this light on. Give me 1 second. Okay, verse 12. Doest thou not know, and hast thou not heard that this king is very powerful and wise, and there is not like unto him in all of the earth? Behold, we have seen all the kings of earth, and we have not seen one like that king. The king of Egypt, surely among the kings of the earth, there is none greater than, we've seen none greater than Amalek, king of the Philistines. Yet the king of Egypt is greater and mightier than he. And Amalek can only be compared to one of his officers. Father, thou hast not seen his palace and his throne and all of his servants standing before him. Straight up, they brother. Chapter 52. Chapter 52, verse 13. Father, you have not seen his palace and his throne and all his servants standing before him. Thou hast not seen that king upon his throne in his pomp, in his royal appearance, dressed in kingly robes and large golden crown upon his head. Thou hast not seen the honor and the glory which God has given unto him, for there is not like unto him in all of the earth. Father, that you have not seen the wisdom and the understanding and the knowledge of which God has given in his heart, nor heard his sweet voice when he spoke unto us. We know not, Father, who made him, acquainted with our names and all that befell us. Yet he asked also after you, saying, is your father still living? And is it well with him? They like, dang, how did he know our name? And then he asked about you. Talking about Jacob. Thou hast not seen the affairs of the government of Egypt regulated by him, without inquiring of Pharaoh his lord. Thou hast not seen the awe and the fear which he impressed upon all the Egyptians. And also when we went from him, we threatened to do unto Egypt like unto the rest of the city of the Amorites. And we were exceedingly wroth against all of his words, which he spoke concerning us as spies. See, because Joseph remembered when they did that to the Amorites. So they wondering like, how did he know that? Because two of the brothers took out the whole city of the Amorites. And now when we shall again come before him, his terror will fall upon us all. And not one of us will be able to speak to him either a little or a great thing. Now, therefore, Father, we should pray thee, the lad with us. We shall pray thee, the lad with us. And we shall go down and buy food for our support, and not perish through hunger. And Jacob said, why have you dealt so ill with me to tell me the king had a brother? What is this thing that you have done unto me? And Judah said unto Jacob, his father, give the lad into my care, and we will rise up and go down to Egypt and buy corn. I love hearing the things. All praises is that, yes, all praises are history, sis. And Judah said unto his father Jacob, give this lad unto my care, and we will rise and go up down to Egypt and buy corn, and then return. And it shall be when we return, if the lad be not with us, let not me bear thy blame forever. So he said, blame me. Judah said, if I don't come back with Benjamin, handle me. Hast thou seen all our infants weeping over thee through hunger? And there is no power in our hand to satisfy them. Now let thy pity be roused for them, and send our brother with us, and we will go. For how will the Lord's kindness to our ancestors be manifested to thee and thy, saying to the king of Egypt, will take away thy son? As the Lord liveth, I will not leave him until I bring him to a place and place him before you. But pray for us unto the Lord, that he may deal kindly with us, to cause us to be received favorably and kindly before the king of Egypt and his men. For had we not delayed, surely now we have returned a second time with thy son. And Jacob said unto his sons, I trust in the Lord God, that he may deliver you and give you favor in the sight of the king of Egypt and in the sight of his men. Now therefore rise up and go to the man, and take for him in your hands a present from what can be obtained in the land, and bring it before him. And may the Almighty God give you mercy before him, and he may send Benjamin and Simeon your brother with you. And all the men rose up, and they took their brother Benjamin, and they took in their hands a large present in the best of the land. And they also took a double portion of silver Yes, I do, Tim. My Zelle is my cell phone number, Tim, and the first name is Sheila. It's registered under Sheila Buncombe. All praises. Thank you, brother. And Jacob strictly commanded his sons concerning Benjamin, saying, take heed of him in the way in which you are going, and do not separate yourselves from him on the road, neither in Egypt. And Jacob rose up from his sons, and he spread forth his hands, and he prayed unto the Lord on account of his sons, saying, O Lord God of heaven and earth, remember thy covenant with our father Abraham. Remember it with our father Isaac, and deal kindly with my sons, and deliver them into the hands of the king of Egypt. Do it, I pray thee, O God, for the sake of my mercies, and redeem all of my children, and rescue them from the Egyptian power, and send them their two brothers. And all the wives of the sons of Jacob and their children lifted up their eyes to heaven, and they all wept before the Lord, and they cried unto him to deliver their fathers from the hand of the king of Egypt. And Jacob wrote a record to the king of Egypt, and gave it to the hand of Judah and into the hands of his sons for the king of Egypt, saying, from thy servant Jacob, son of Isaac, son of Abraham, the Hebrew, the prince of God, to the powerful. Okay, thank you, bro. To the powerful and the wise, the revealer of secrets, king of Egypt, greeting. Be it known to my lord, the king of Egypt, the famine was sore upon us in the land of Canaan, and I sent my sons to thee to buy us a little food from thee for our support. For my sons surrounded me, and I am being very old, cannot see with my eyes, for my eyes have become very heavy through age, as well as with daily weeping for my son, for Joseph, who he don't even know he talking to his son. Yes, you can, yes, you can, sissy. As well as the daily weeping for my son, for Joseph, who was lost from before me. And I commanded my sons that they should not enter the gates of the city when they came to Egypt on the account of the inhabitants of the land. And I also commanded them to go about to Egypt to seek my son Joseph. Perhaps they might find him there. And they did so. And you did consider them as spies on the land. Have you not heard concerning thee that thou doest interpret Pharaoh's dream, and didst speak truly unto him? How then doest thou know in wisdom whether my sons are spies or not? Now therefore, my lord and king, behold, I have sent my son before you, as thou didst speak unto my sons. I beseech thee to put thy eyes upon him, until he is returned in my peace with his brethren. For doest thou not know, and hast thou not heard, that which our God did unto Pharaoh when he took my mother Sarah, and he did unto Amalek, king of the Philistines, on the account of her, and also what our father Abraham did unto the 9 kings of Elam, how he smote them with a few men that were with him, and also what my 2 sons Simeon and Levi did to the 8 cities of the Amorites, how they destroyed them on the account of their sister Dinah, tore up a whole city. 2 other brothers, Simeon and Levi. And also on account of their brother Benjamin, they consoled themselves for the loss of their brother Joseph. What will they then do for him when they see that the hand of the people prevailing over them for his sake? Doest you know, O king of Egypt, that the power of God is with us, and that also God ever heareth our prayers and forsaketh us not all the days? So Jacob trying to tell him, look at all what we did. Our father is not no joke. Let my sons come back. We trying to buy food. And when my sons told me that your dealings with them, I called unto the Lord on the account of thee. For then thou wouldest have perished with thy men before my son Benjamin came before you. But I thought that as Simeon my son was in your house, perhaps thou mightest deal kindly with him. Therefore I did not this thing unto thee. Now therefore, behold, Benjamin my son cometh with thee with my sons. Take heed of him, and put thy eyes upon him, and then will God place his eyes over you and throughout thy kingdom. Now I have told thee, all this is my heart. I've told you all this is my heart. And behold, my sons are coming to you and their brother. Examine the face of the whole earth for their sake, and send them back in peace with their brethren. And Jacob gave the record to his sons and to the care of Judah to give it to the king of Egypt. That's the end of that reading. All praises. Yeah, Joseph already knew. Joseph knew when they gave the names, because he remembered his brother's names. And then he started bringing up stuff they had did, and they wondering like, what? How did you know that? And that's why he tried to play it off like you guys are spies. He did that on purpose. He knew they wasn't spies. Okay, today is the 2nd. Yeah, he knew that they weren't spies. He wanted a way to bring Benjamin back. So basically they had to take Benjamin or perish. And Jacob wrote a letter to the king, which happens to be his son. All praises. All right. So put an 8 in the chat if you got your communion ready. Put an 8 in the chat if you got your unleavened bread and your wine or grape juice ready to remember our big brother. Yesterday we read from Corinthians. Today we go back to Mark. Mark 14. All praises. So if you knew, hold on one second. Okay, so if you knew, the I can't even get the words out. Get it out, LaQuanda. I seen the thank you, bro. I seen the alert. Thank you. I appreciate you. Much love and much respect for that blessing. The bread represents our brother's body. He gave his life. No man took it at all. He atoned for the original sin so that we can get back home, which all the people that got baptized under the holy order in the correct way made a covenant in the spirit world. Okay, so we going back home at the end of the 1,000-year reign. So the wine represents the blood that he shed from his hands, his feet, and from the crown of his head. He did not have a painless experience. He was mocked. He was laughed at. He was beat. He was spit on. He was all manner of wickedness happened to him. He could have popped him down by saying a word, but he didn't. He was humble. He was a lamb. He went as the curse. He ain't coming back that way. He coming back totally opposite. Totally opposite of everything that I said. In the sealed book of Moses, it said that the ones that had something to do with piercing him, and the ones that were Jews, just like him, when he said, he said, I came amongst my own and they received me not. Oh, those ones right there that said, you ain't the son of God. You ain't no king. You ain't the king of the Jews. He said all of them are going to be ashamed. When he comes back, when the final resurrection happens, he said they're going to be ashamed. They ain't even going to be able to look at him. They're going to all have their heads looking at the ground. He was telling the truth. He was telling the truth. He really was the Messiah. Yep. Now you mowed it, and now you're getting popped down. He going to bring them up so he can pop them back down. So all the ones that had something to do with it, they going to pay gravely. They going to pay gravely. So we remember right now the spirit world. They looking down. Their vision is brighter than any vision that you can imagine. The Father sees everything. We don't look like ants to him. He has clarity. We don't look like ants to Yeshua or none of the angels. And they're looking down as we're remembering what our brother did. Yeshua is happy. The angels are rejoicing. The Father's saying, look at my children. And he's saying, I'm seeing it, Abba. So we're going to read Mark 14, 21 through 25. I'll tell you when to break and eat. Then you'll hold your cup up. And oh my goodness, these cash apps is coming through. Dorothy, you about to make me hit the flow. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is what's going on. I'm in awe, for real. Y'all don't, it's too early to be making me cry. For real. Wow. I keep losing my train of thought. So we read in Mark 14, 21. I'm going to tell you when to break and eat. Then you're going to hold your cup up. And I'll tell you when to take and drink. And just close your eyes and just picture the angels and our brother and our Father looking down, rejoicing. That's what they do when we take communion. They rejoice. Close your eyes and picture it when you take that drink of that wine, representing his blood. Behold, this is for you to do in remembrance of my body. For it is often as you do this, you will remember this hour that I was with you. Break and eat. I'm reading from the Bible, sis. Mark 14, 21 through 25. And he took the cup. Hold your cup up. And when he had given thanks, he gave it to them. And they all drank of it. Take and drink and close your eyes and picture the rejoicing. Hallelujah. They up there clapping and rejoicing and screaming. And he said unto them, this is in the remembrance of my blood, which is shed for many in the New Testament, which I give unto you. For of me you shall bear record unto all of the world. And as often as you do this, ordinance, it's an ordinance, you will remember me in this hour. And I was with you and drank with you of this cup, even to the last time in my ministry. Verily I say unto you, of this you shall bear record, and I will no more drink of the fruit of the vine with you, until the day that I drink it new in the kingdom with our Father. Hallelujah. All praises. He said, I'm waiting on y'all. And boy, we going that marriage supper. Everybody that got their name put in that book. Everybody's name that's written in the Lamb's Book of Life. And you know when your name is written in it. When you repented your sins aloud. And when you repented the sins of your forefathers aloud. You laying down your sins and you laying down generational curses in that water. And then you receive that gift. When you receive that gift of the Holy Spirit, the Ruach, you have just reserved your seat at the VIP table. Your name is put there. Your keys are hanging for you to enter into the city to be shown your mansion. Hello. We're going to be walking on streets of gold. That's what the words say, so I believe what the words say. I don't know if it's 14 karat gold, 10 karat, whatever it is, it's going to be blinging. It's a rock. Satan came down here and put value on diamonds and gold. They're rocks. They are straight up rocks. And we're going to be walking on them, on gold. Bugman, he got the little running people. We're going to be walking on them, bro. All praises. All right. So they are happy and we are happy too and rejoicing. So now we get ready to get in to our lesson. Right. The Father got gold as our concrete. Yes, that's what we're going to be walking on. It's going to be beautiful. He know Hebrews like that bling. He's a Hebrew. Shoot. We're going to be immortal. I can't wait for us to have our beautiful immortal bodies. Can't wait. So today we going to get into this book. The book of the Nathan the prophet. But first, my hands look ashy, y'all, when y'all see my hands. It's not ash, some gray paint spilled in my car, and I still can't get it all the way off my skin. So we're going to talk about the Nathan the prophet and who he is. Do you guys know who Nathan is? Ever heard of Nathan? If you don't know who Nathan the prophet is, put a 3 in the chat. If you don't know who Nathan the prophet is, put a 3 in the chat. All right, because I never knew either. This first time I read a little bit. This is one of the 70 missing books. Remember when Esdras now wrote all them books in 30 days? And the Father said, publish all of them except the last 70. Publish all of them for the wise and the unwise, but the last 70, keep those for my chosen. He said wise, but it's the same thing. For my chosen, this was one of them. This is one of the books that was missing books. Just like they said we was lost. Yeah, well, we got found. We're going to find out what happened to Nathan's book. But the Father made a way for this to be found. We getting ready to read about it. Okay, so he's in the sealed portion too, Coco? All praises. All praises. So let's go. First, let's read this. The prophets get the words from the spirit world. They get help from on high. They was raised to do that. They were foreordained before they even was in their mother's wombs to be prophets. And so the word comes from on high. So the ones that was around Yeshaya, they learned from him. Then there was many after him. Coco said Nathan was a gangster. Okay, the prophet Nathan is a figure in the Hebrew Bible, in the Old Testament, the Tanakh. He's one. Here's who he is. His role. Nathan was a prophet and advisor in the court of King David around the 10th century BCE. I'm reading out of this book. I printed out the PDF and made it into a book. He's famous for confronting King David. He's famous for confronting King David after his sin with Bathsheba. And he arranged unalive of her husband Uriah in 2 Samuel 12. Nathan tells the parable of the rich man stealing the poor man's lamb, which moves David to repentance, delivering the father's covenant to David. 2 Samuel verse 7. Chapter 7. Promising that David's dynasty would endure. Your house in your kingdom will be made sure forever before me. Supporting Solomon's succession to the throne after David. 1 Kings 1, ensuring the continuity of David's line. The father told David, he loved King David. And he told King David that Yeshua was going to come through his lineage. Okay? King David come through Perez. That's another class. Because we found out that Judah got tricked by Tamar and had twins. And the only reason why she didn't get put to unalive is because she had married 2 of Judah's sons. But they never consummated the marriage because the father took them out from sin before they could even have laid with each other. So the legacy of Nathan represents the prophetic role as a truth teller. Even to kings. He speaks the Father's word fearlessly. What Coco said, he's a gangster. He didn't, if it's buffering, maybe click out and click back. We already know Elder IL got kicked off both channels today. That fool busy today. Hashatan is busy. He takes no days off. And he works overtime. He speaks Ahiah's words fearlessly, not flattering rulers, but calling them to accountability and pointing them towards the highest purposes. That's why he told King David, you tripping. You don't slept with Bathsheba? Okay, so I asked, why was Yeshua called the son of David? Because he's called the son of David, and that used to confuse me. So in the Yeshua in the New Testament, and it goes straight back to Nathan's prophecy and the Davidic covenant. So a higher promised David through Nathan that his destiny would endure and that one of his descendants would sit on the throne forever. You find it right here. From then on, the son of David became the messianic title for the future king who will restore Israel. That was Yeshua coming through that line. You know, anything you see like that, or I got it crossed out, we're not Ish. The Jews' expectation. We are the Jews, not Ish. Ish is something like, and they ain't even something like. They just imposters. By the time the Second Temple period, 500 BCE, and yet by the root of David, 500 BCE, 70 CE, the Jews expected the Messiah, a descendant of David, Messiah ben David, a descendant of David, a righteous king who would defeat Israel's enemies, a restorer of justice, the Torah, in peace. The son of David was shortened for the Messiah, promised to David's line. Line just means lineage. In the New Testament, the Gospels use the son of David repeatedly to identify Yeshua as the long-awaited king. Genealogies, Matthew and Luke, both trace Yeshua's lineage back to David. Matthew 1:1, Luke 3:31. Blind men cry out, Son of David, have mercy on us. They crying out to Yeshua. Matthew 9:27, Matthew 20:30. The crowds at Palm Sunday shout Hosanna to the Son of David. Matthew 21:19. We know Hosanna, blessed be the rock. Who is the rock? Yeshua. Shalom, Liz. Paul says Yeshua is the promised descendant of David. That's in Acts 13:22-23, and Romans 1:3. So Yeshua is called the son of David because he comes from David's lineage. He fulfills the prophetic expectation of the Davidic Messiah, and he is seen as the eternal king of a highest kingdom, as Nathan prophesied. So the father told Nathan plenty things. He was a prophet that was getting revelation from on high, getting revelations from the spirit world. So Nathan's role in the Old Testament. Nathan appears in Samuel, the book of Samuel, the book of Kings, and Chronicles. His most important moments are announced in the eternal covenant with David. He's the one that told David in 2 Samuel 7, 1 Chronicles 17. Rebuking David for Bathsheba in Uriah episode found in 2 Samuel 12. Assisting Bathsheba to secure Solomon's succession. 1 Kings 1. Nathan's writings. And 1 Chronicles 29. And what does the 8 mean? I keep seeing the 8. 8 mean we already did communion. We did communion after Jasher. In 1 Chronicles 29:29 and 2 Chronicles 9:29, the Bible mentions the records of Samuel the seer. That's another book. We got this one too. The records of Samuel the seer, Nathan the prophet, and Gad the seer. We got this one too. All these books nobody ever told us about. We ain't never heard of, well, I ain't never heard of Samuel the seer until I got in the truth. And I've heard of Gad the seer through somebody else through talking. But I believe I got those books right now. Maybe not printed out, but I know I seen them. This suggests Nathan kept written chronicles of David and Solomon's reigns through their texts. I mean, though these texts are lost, just like we was lost. Just like a whole bunch of our stuff was lost, but the Father gave them back to us. All right, Yasharallah, hit me up. Sometimes, okay, Nathan's writings with material that shaped Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles, part of the biblical history known as the Deuteronomistic history. See how these demons play games? Now, I'm smelling that smoke. You are not welcome. Flee in the name of Yeshua. You are trespassing. Y'all, this is crazy. Every now and then, they do that. And Bun, you know when we did our lesson about spiritual attacks and stuff, they make you smell cigarette smoke and all kind of other stuff. And I'm smelling cigarette smoke right. And ain't nobody, I don't even live close to nobody. No, this the land. Ain't nobody smoking cigarettes over here. And I'm smelling it. He does weird stuff like that to make you scared. Can't stand him. The Divinic covenant in the Jews thought. Context. A higher, and he's trying to make it stronger, so, but I'm going to keep on doing this lesson and ignore this fool. God promises David an everlasting dynasty. 2 Samuel 7 and 16. This is central in the Jews' expectations, Messianic expectations. Nathan is a messenger. He is remembered as the prophet who announced this covenant, making him a guardian of the Divinic line. This covenant becomes the foundation of the hope of the future Messiah from David's line, Mashiach ben David. All praises. All right, now we about to open up his book. Let me see it. Okay, they dropped my food off. All praises, all praises. Okay, so now we about to go into the book. So Nathan told King Solomon that about the Messiah coming through his lineage. And he also busted him out about being Bathsheba. So now we're gonna read the beginning. And it says the front of the book, it says, the book of Nathan the prophet was burned by King Solomon personally, and now it has been rewritten by the Spirit. So you see how that be? Just like they took certain stuff out of the Gospels in the book of Matthew. And then when you go to the sealed portion, the Father returned our words back to us of all that they took out. Everything that you see highlighted was taken out of the King James Version Bible. And Matthew chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7 have all kind of stuff taken out of it. I haven't highlighted all of this yet, but everything you see in bold was removed for a reason. Get this sealed portion. I call this book the cheat code. Hope everything's okay. He'll call me back if it's an emergency. So this book is called the cheat code. Well, it's called the sealed portion, the final testament of Yeshua. But that's what I call it. Hold on, let me ask him, is everything okay? What he? Don't tell me this boy is on his way. He talking about he trying to visit. He don't. Yeah, want to pop over before I move up, and it's hard to visit. Okay. All praises. My son, he bought some property in Northern California, and he said he want to come up here and visit before he gets further away from me. All praises. But he don't know in these nukes he gonna be right here with me. Period. I'm believing on those words. Yes, this book is definitely the cheat code. All right, so we got this book back through the revelation of the spirit. Okay, so let's see where we gonna start at. Okay, we just gonna start here on the first page. But it smell like cigarette smoke, Sanawa. I ain't never smelt it smell like cigarettes when people are burning stuff. I'm in the book of Nathan, the book of the Nathan the prophet. All right, speak against God and say, see, God is not a good man, for God doeth evil. God is the unaliver. Behold, read it for yourself in the book of Genesis, how God unalived and Onan, the sons of Judah, without a cause. God is not good. He doeth evil in his own book. Genesis 37:7, 8, 9, and 10. He's talking about naysayers saying this about our Father. But if God unalive not those who do evil, then you blame God for all of the evil on the earth, as if God himself doeth all these things. Isaiah 45:7. And so then you say, if there was even a God, behold, God is not real. There is no God. For if there is, then why doeth God allow for all of this wickedness to take place in our world, which this is called God have given us? Why does God let this happen and let this happen and that happen? Psalms 14:1. This is what people always say when stuff happens. Oh God, why did he let that happen? Why he let that happen? Why nobody don't say why Satan let something happen? Always, oh, why God let that happen? Why you let it happen? Why you caused it? But I say unto you, it is not God who doeth evil, it is you. Would you rather that God make you into an idol with no breath and no choice, save to stand still with no life in you? Genesis 2:7. Surely God have made you an idol without a choice, like unto those idols that you worship, who are not able to choose what they will, but must sit idle in one place until you move them to another. Genesis 3:12. All right, let me try to keep up with the chat. Okay. Would you like to be an idol, which cannot see, cannot hear, cannot talk, and cannot make any decision, with no life, no breath, no joy, no choice of good or evil? Genesis 2:17. If you guys are new, write these scriptures down. Moderators, see if somebody can put these scriptures in the chat. You seem as if you think that God should have done that. It made you like as unto an idol, seen as how you perceive God, and speak evil and falsely of God. When people choose to do evil, you say God should make the evil cease. But behold, if God make the evil cease, then you blaspheme and say God is evil, because God made the evil cease. Woe unto all of you who believe not that the words of God, for they are found in the book of Nathan the prophet. And that is this book. First Chronicles 29:29. Second Chronicles 9:29. The book of Nathan the prophet was burned by King Solomon personally. And yeah, people just want to be a robot. They want to say, okay, why this happen? Why you let this happen? And then if he takes somebody evil out, then you say, oh, he's an unaliver. I mean, make up your mind. Okay. What we really got. Wait a minute. Where we at? Right. Whoa. Okay. I guess this is the person that rewrote the book. What we really gonna do right here is begin the journey of our journey together as we engage in the great discovery of okay enough with all of the big fancy words. Let the book of Nathan, the prophet, begin here. Let the book of Nathan, the prophet, begin now. And let the book of Nathan, the prophet, begin here and now. This is the book of Nathan the prophet. Although it was not simply written for your pleasure, nevertheless, I still hope that you will enjoy it to the fullest. For those who fear this book, as my son would say, if you must have fear, then simply have faith. Everything's all right. The prefix. Thus saith the Lord thy God, the creator of heavens and the earth, and his bride, the goddess, which is not of this world. I have made man my temple, and I have lived in man. I have made women my temple, and I have lived in women. I have never lived in any temple made with hands. The precepts to this is Acts 7:48 and Acts 17:24. As I liveth, I multiply ever increasing. I speaketh in hidden ways. We know that. Parables, allegories, symbolism, and metaphors. I am not pleased with those who think that I dwell in fancy church buildings. I am not pleased well. I am not pleased yet. I am angry with my own. Angry with my own. I am angry with my own. Angry with my own. Why have you pastors lied unto my sheep and deceived my little ones into these fancy trickery of childish games? Know ye nothing of the brotherhood and the sisterhood of life? Know you nothing of the poor family with nowhere to dwell, while you have made fancy temples unto my name, and you have left these temples empty, while my own brethren were needy, but you have rejected them, and I sent you my holy apostles and my prophets and my seers, and you heard them not? And you heard them not? Have my servants, the prophets, not spake of the families that you have turned your backs away from to keep your fancy mess of a tradition of the hearts of the evil man? How long will you test how long will you test me further before I bring down my wrath upon your Solomonic saints? Clear out all the fancy pews. Clear out all the fancy pews in the pulpits and everything of cost, if you will. Then go and find the needy with no home of their own and house them in my house. Or else my house is not my house. And if my house is not my house, then it is an idol, which maketh you pastors and you Christians like unto idolaters. And you shall perish without my camp. Until you have obeyed my words, I have now turned my back on you, like you have turned your own backs on the homeless families in the name of traditional fancy church mess. You are wolves and sheep. Somebody just said it. Somebody just said it. Ezra just put it in the chat. You are wolves in sheep fancy church clothing. Pastors, it is your duty to transform your fancy church buildings into shelters in fancy mess and in homelessness. There are more fancy church buildings than there are homeless in your city. You can end it all now. And if you do, then you shall be without excuse. And I shall curse thee and thy own seed forever, seeing that thou hast not hearkened unto the Nethitic prophet in the last day. Wow. There was a time when the words of Yeshua came flying by night unto King Saul in a dream, crying, Thus saith Abba, of all of who prepared heavens for the earth, and all that in them is the seed of the Spirit. From the stones of the ground to the stars of angels, I set bones in ribs in the temple of flesh. Remember, I read a little bit of this yesterday. He put our spirit is in the middle of our ribs. He said to give structure to the body. And it has pleased me to provide place for the ribs, for a cage of covering around the container of life. Our ribs is the cage that covers our container of life. Our soul, our spirit. Verse 2. I have made male and female all that they are. And now I shall reveal to them secrets, things, if they are willing to hearken diligently into the sounds of the words of my voice, and breathe and make room to receive energy from the light of my heart unto the heart of the dry dust of earth. Genesis 1:27. Somebody put that in the chat. Matthew 12:40. Take heed to never walk away from simple truth. Let it go and make it unknown itself unto you. Matthew 19:22. John 14:6. It's way more precepts than that. I'm just going to give you 2. Now return again unto me and have life unlimited, eternal, forever. Jeremiah 3:22. Revelations 2:4-5. I have loved you and given you lungs to receive my breath of life in you. Let me read that again. I have loved you and given you lungs to receive my breath of life in you. Wherefore, then, do you think it good to corrupt your soul and those others in your company? That's Romans 1:32. For you were no living soul, and would not have been, if I had not breathed in my own breath through your nostrils and into the gift of love that it has pleased me to give to you. Genesis 2:7. Your lungs were made precious in substance and are not little in value. And I would that you had taken better care of such a gift of love as your very own pair of lungs, but you have done that which is against my will. Y'all know what he's talking about. Y'all know what he's talking about. Read through the lines. Let me read that again. Yeah, I can see you, Liz. Let me read verse 8 again. Your lungs were made precious in substance and are not little in value. And I would that you had taken better care. You wish that you'd taken better care of such a gift of love as your very own pair of lungs. But you have done that which is against my will. Cigarettes in the greens. Have we tore up our lungs with that? Have we tore up our lungs with greens? Have we tore up our lungs with tobacco? Have I given you every herb-bearing seed that you might transform your precious containers of life into desperate filters of unalive? Yea, saith Yeshua of spirits, I have truly given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth. I have given it to you for meat. And then they put stuff in the stores that don't have seeds. Yep, all convicted behind that. We all tore these lungs up, boy. He said our lungs is a gift. Smoking tears them up. And you saith, Yeshua of hosts, I have given you every tree in which is fruit of the tree yielding seed to you. I gave it for meat and strength and air. Genesis 2:16. And then they even make some seeds hybrids where your seeds won't even germinate. They don't want us to grow our own food. They want us to keep getting the seedless stuff that they're making. Take heed. Indeed, I have surely given you such things as these because I love you so much. And then they charge us for this stuff. He said he gave us this stuff because he loved us. But the man is charging us for them. They in trouble. Yep. And that means you got the spirit, Liz. When you got conviction, that means the spirit is on you. Because the man that has no conviction is a man who has no conscience. The conscience is the Holy Spirit. If you have no conviction, then you have no conscience, meaning that the Father eventually will hand you over as a reprobate. Reprobates can unalive somebody, go home, eat a bowl of cereal like they ain't did nothing. But as their function and purpose, I tell you, nay, for they have verily been misused and abused unto an evil purpose. It is a man in his right mind that runneth to his neighbors and saith, Come, let us make to ourselves tubes of herbs and pipes of trees, that we might mock the Creator and play with unalive and vex the very breath of life that is within us. He's talking about trellises, what we smoke the stuff out of. What? Do you guys hear how he's clowning us right now? Is a man in his right mind that runneth to his neighbors and saith, Come, let us make to ourselves tubes of herb. You getting what he's saying? And pipes of trees, that we might mock the Creator and play with unalive and vex the very breath of life that is within us. Luke 8:35, Matthew 12:31, Romans 1:30. Again, Luke 8:35. Not Matthew, Mark 12:31, excuse me. And Romans 1:30. Woe means destruction. Woe unto every spirit soul in body of male or female that continually, knowingly, willingly, mockingly pisses upon the loving gifts of God. Oh my goodness. That's in Matthew 25:26. Let me read this again. He said it's going to be destruction to every spirit soul in body of male and female that continually, knowingly, willingly, mockingly pisses upon the loving gifts of God. Our lungs is a gift. This is touching somebody right now. Yep, somebody said, Natasha said, busted. Yes, this is talking to y'all souls right now. It used to talk to mine too, but I've been May 12, 2021. I ain't never picked up another blunt. I ain't never craved it. Some people can do that. Some people need prayer to do it. Nonetheless, you got to stop. He said, if you continually, you knowingly, you willingly, you mocking him now. Piss up upon the loving gifts of God. That's enough to make everybody get on your face, get under your bed till you can quit tearing up them lungs. Okay, now the second restoration. And it came to pass in the morning when Saul had awoken from sleep that he remembered the word of the Lord, which came to him in a dream, commanding him to abstain from evil, abuse of the elements of the earth, which were not made for self-mutation. I think we getting ready to get clowned some more. Therefore, Saul made a proclamation throughout the land to put away all occasion of practicing the use of herb for familiar spirit purposes or divination, and decreed a law that witches, wizards, mediums, and all those that have familiar spirits should be unalived, a painful unalive, and be cleansed of their dark arts by fire through the same flames that purify black magic. For the scorching currents of heat had been known to erase every evil spell of sorcery from the roots of the abomination itself, leaving many who at previous times possessed the secret gifts to leave those things behind and study the ways and thoughts of the one God, who taketh musicians, and from them he maketh prophets. He done made some of witches and wizards and warlocks into prophets. All praises. All praises, Makita. Yep, Ezra, I can't say that word because you know how they do. They be done cut me off. But yep, that's what if you guys look what Ezra put it in. We just talked about it the other day. Armakia. That's sorcery. That's witchcraft. So Saul strictly enforced the law that was already there, which said, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." Man, my daughter just said this to me the other day. Hold on, let me highlight this. Somebody that you know is a witch. So Saul strictly enforced the law that was already there, which said, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." How about Saul? Took not the matter to heart, for Saul was unwillingly to take the commands of God, which spoke to him in a dream by night, seriously seeing that the words referred to the Lord God as the Abba of all. Saul was not ready nor willing to comprehend a relationship with the Creator and the Lord as an intimate and close as a father with the son for the entire race. So Saul told himself that the dream was only a dream, whereas he lived not in harmony with the words of God, applying them not unto himself. Nevertheless, he did further enforce the commands on the others, forcing many to obey the sayings of the divine dream, even while Saul himself transgressed against the word of God and obeyed not the voice of the Lord as time unfolded throughout the process of the events of days. So he told, that's in Exodus 22 and 18. He told other people, but he wasn't practicing it. He wasn't. That's why they say practice what you preach. He wasn't practicing what he preached. And it came to pass in those days when Saul smoked the herb of a familiar spirit that Saul slew himself. So at the appointed cycle of moons, the elders of Israel anointed David their king. 2 Samuel 5 and 3. Now behold, David had a heart for God, and the Lord loved him. Remember, I told you guys the Father loved King David and blessed him. But David had a man unalive to conceal the act of adultery from being found out. That's what Nathan gonna end up busting him out. For David, and see, people, King David was chosen. And you see, he unalived a man to cover up his sin. And the Father still chose him. The Father still told him. This was even before the Messiah was coming through his line. The Father already knew that Messiah was going to come. He already knew the man was going to sin. So people can't judge people for what the Father chose who he chose. Period. For David was afraid, lest the people of his own kingdom would say, "Our king had been conquered and overthrown and defeated by our unlawful desire." When the heart of David became more concealed of his image than the life of another, it displeased the Lord. Matthew 6 and 29. Luke 16 and 19. So the Lord sent Nathan. The Lord sent Nathan unto David with the words of a parable. We know that parables is hidden truth in it. To compel David to confess his own sin, that he might own up to it. Behold, it is not written in the book. Is it not written in the book of Samuel the seer? So we got to get Samuel the seer. It's also written in that book. The parables that Nathan told King David. Okay, the third restoration. We're probably going to read till 5 restorations, and then we're going to go to the third testament. Now, if you still on here, it might be that smoke. It might be that. It might be that the fire that it's dark outside. They know they ain't supposed to be burning right now. Now, behold, the daughter of Elam was fair and well favored, and of all those that see after the flesh and judge according to appearance, not many men had not a desire in the heart to wed her. She must have been beautiful. Therefore, Elam guarded his daughter well and hastened not to give her to any man, for many men lusted after his daughter. But Elam prayed to the Lord for a covering of a choice concerning his daughter. That's in Leviticus 19 and 29 in our Bible. And the Lord said unto Elam, Son of the Most High God, why fearest thy spirit unto an frustrated helplessness? It is not I who, is it not I who formed that which is formed? And I who has formed that which is not formed? And Eliam answered, O Lord, I beseech thee. Beseech means beg. The life is repeating the same thing and it keeps buffering. Is it still buffering, you guys? Are you guys, is it buffering on you guys in? Can you guys, okay. So if it's buffering on your end, Shirley, log out and log back. Okay, all praises. So Eliam answered the father, and he said, I beseech thee, meaning I beg you, let not your daughter in which have you blessed me to bring up in your ways fall prey to these hungry, wicked devourers of flesh. For all men seemeth to seeketh to be with her, hoping to have her unto themselves and defile her innocence. That's in the book of Judges 19 and 24. Wait a minute. Makita said that it's still buffering. All praises, Liz. Thank you for subscribing. All praises. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate your subscription. Okay, you guys let me know if it's buffing on everybody. I don't know what, because I ain't even touching it. You know why it's doing it. Literally, both channels on Elder IL's lives today, both got cut. He couldn't even finish the live. He got off one channel, went to another one. They got him on that one too. All right, if it keeps buffering, we had to. It's good, not buffering. Okay. All right. I pray thee, O Lord, that the man you will send to marry our daughter will not bring her down low to debase her, but will exalt her, even as your will is, so is mine, that she shall shine forth in an unsullied glory unto the stature of a queen. Moreover, a queen of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, meaning Jacob. And Eliam was so intently shouting at the Lord that he was unable to hear the swift answer from Abba, which listen for David, son of Jesse, to have Bathsheba as a wife and queen of Israel. And as Eliam was praying, there was walking up unto him from afar an Hittite. And he said unto Eliam, most people pray to the Lord quietly, but thou shoutest loud, for I heard you praying all the way across the river. What is the abbreviation for PR? PS is Psalms. Oh, Proverbs. That's Proverbs 28:23. Now behold, surely the Lord thy God have heard thy prayer also, and I reckon that the Lord have given thee thy request, that it might silence you. For in praying that loud thou shalt shake the heavens, if thou doest not lose thy voice first. Proverbs 21:6. If it be pleasing in your sight, I will take your daughter's hand in marriage, and I myself shall honor the Lord's prayers of her father, and I will treat her like the queen of Israel. Ephesians 5:25. Now Eliam was pleased with the words of the Hittite, and Eliam asked him of his name, and the Hittite said, it is Uriah. And Eliam said this is painting a picture as to what's happening with David. And Eliam said, my daughter I shall give you, and her name is Bathsheba. Hebrews 11:25. So this is the story on Bathsheba marrying Uriah. And her father is Eliam, and Uriah is a Hittite. So this is all new to me too. Trust me, we all learning together. All right, the fourth restoration, meaning the fourth part that was restored out of Nathan's book. Now the acts of David, the king of Israel, Uriah the Hittite, and Bathsheba, the wife of them both. Whoso readeth, let him readily understand. Are they not written in the book of Samuel the seer? We got to get that book, y'all. That's Matthew 24 and 15. That's 24. That's Matthew 24 and 15. But now learn of their ways, because the seed of David was in Bathsheba. The fear of Uriah was in David. Psalms 103 and 7. When Eliam had prayed the Lord prayer for his daughter, Uriah was hidden in the bushes where he had been eaten of the fruits. And when Uriah had saw the perfect opportunity to gain favor with the father of Bathsheba, he ran out and revealed himself unto the hypocrite Eliam, speaking lying words of flattery for consent to gain Bathsheba. That's in 1 Kings 13 and 18. So Uriah was a hypocrite. He heard him praying in the bushes and then came out and repeated everything that he knew that he was praying for the father for, because he was praying out loud. Wherefore Uriah obtained favor of the Lord, and the Lord called him Uriah, signifying double portion, single fold, wholeheartedness, giving life to the unalive and the unalive to the living, and saying that the worst curse is the most excellent blessing, and the greatest glory is the worst curse, and the beautiful blessings are elusive, for that which is done in the dark of dens is not seen by man, yet it is heard in heaven, where Yeshua giveth ear. You can't hide nothing. You can't hide nothing. Yeshua, they see it in the heavens. So you can hide from man, but you can't hide from them. That's some Revelations 2 and 17, Luke 16 and 8. Therefore, Yeshua moved through Uriah and prompted him to go by faith, step up, come out, and reveal himself, that he might inherit the daughter of Eliam for a wife as a blessing. Luke 16 and 9, Proverbs 18 and 22. All right, now the fifth restoration. So Nathan spoke boldly unto King David, having authority from Yeshua. Matthew 7 and 29. Shalom Numi. And by way of Yeshua spake Nathan unto David with no greetings or salutations, for in that day Nathan uttered only parables and prophecies. Nathan was a man of parables that was given from the Father, and he had prophecies that he was getting from on high. And Nathan the prophet said unto King David, the child that is born unto you by Bathsheba shall surely perish. 2 Samuel 12 and 14. David therefore cried unto Ahiah. Until Ahiah. And Yeshua spoke unto David to comfort him, saying, a sick child reapeth higher in Sabbath rest. A sick child reapeth higher in Sabbath rest. Matthew 11 and 28. And David understood the words of Yeshua to mean that the child was going to perish on the Sabbath day. And David found himself comforted in spirit. After the unalive of the child, David was grief-stricken, knowing that he had sinned against Yeshua. And even though Uriah was unalived, Uriah not liveth. And David, he lost his son because of his sin, y'all. That's where it goes for when you can curse your kids through your sin. That's why we break them. And David had therefore endeavored with a sincere determination to not come near Bathsheba. For after the unalive of the child of David, he reckoned the beauty of Bathsheba to be in sin in itself. And he blamed the beauty of Bathsheba for his own transgression. Genesis 3 and 12. He can't blame Bathsheba because she was beautiful and he wanted her. He blamed her for her beauty. Now Bathsheba mourned much for the innocent child who fell prey to the abomination of fornication. That's why that baby passed. And Yeshua told him that's what was going to happen. It was going to happen on Sabbath because of your sin. Now Bathsheba mourned much for the innocent child who fell prey to the abomination of fornication and the wages thereof. Yep, when beauty goes wrong, she was that beautiful. He unalived her husband to marry her, okay? Nevertheless, David shunned her as if she was a plague, and the king would not suffer her to come in to be with him or even see him, for David was fervent in prayer, and David would not jot down his prayers and recite them, as David would read the prayers he had written. Yeshua inspired multitudes more until soon the hand of David would be useless and worthless, but the words written would be useful and worth much. Matthew 6:6. Now David had truly loved Bathsheba. Nevertheless, because of the unalive of the child, the heart of David was as hard towards hers as a stone. Psalms 95:8. At that point, he knew by him doing that and having a child by her, and then the father took that child, he said, I don't even want to look at her. Because he probably was going to fall weak again. He said, I don't want to look. Makita said, the TikTok is tripping, is still playing the beginning of the live. Makita, log out of your TikTok and come back in. Now David, wait, no, I already said that. But the Lord knew that this was because David feared to be with Bathsheba, lest more of their children should perish. Genesis 38:11. And David had sworn to himself not to be with Bathsheba. But this thing was not easy for him. I told y'all. She was so beautiful, just like they would say, just like Joseph, Jacob's son Joseph, was so fine. Them ladies came in the house when Potiphar's wife had gotten sick. She wanted him so bad, she made herself sick. The women came over to visit her to see how she was doing, and they got mesmerized. He was so fine. Bathsheba was beautiful. So it says, David had sworn to himself not to be with Bathsheba. But this thing was not easy for him. Wherefore, he often fell short of his personal oath. But after he would finish his encounters with Bathsheba, David would again swear to himself that was the last time with Bathsheba. Would be the last time with Bathsheba. So he fell. And every time he did it, he kept saying, this is going to be the last time. This is going to be the last time. Okay, is it okay now, Makita? So David, he couldn't resist her. And he kept going back and he kept saying this is the last time. That's in Romans 3:23. And King David endeavored to use the company of other women to keep him from going to Bathsheba. Okay. So he took to himself one wife after another, but his desire for Bathsheba grew stronger. Now David had come to find that the only thing that was able to keep him from going to Bathsheba, his true love, was remembering the worst day of his life, thinking about the day the Lord sent Nathan, the prophet, to say the child shall perish. For that day the child perished was not as bad in measure as the day David received the terrible news from the prophet, because that day the child had passed. The Lord had already comforted David concerning it. But the day Nathan came to David, Nathan declared unto David of some wicked evil thing a man did, and David was very upset in hearing the evil report of the wicked man. That's in 2 Samuel 12:5. And David said, I will go and unalive the wicked man myself. And David reached and took hold of his bow and his quiver and of 7 arrows to go unalive the man. 2 Samuel 1:18. And David said unto Nathan, show me where this man is, and I will show thee the judgment that is reserved for evildoers. And I will show this man the wrath of God. And Nathan said unto David, thou art the man. Thou art the man. And the last words of Nathan to David that day were that your child that is born by Bathsheba unto thee shall surely pass. He was telling David, you are the wicked man. You are the wicked man. and your son is going to pass away because of it. And it came to pass. And when David heard the words of Yeshua that day, he shivered exceedingly, for a great trembling had fallen upon him, and so much that even his quiver did quiver. Man, his quiver quivered. That's how scared he was. And when David was done shaking, he placed his bow down in the corner. Then as he was setting down the quiver, he noticed the appearance of an arrow missing. Hebrew 12:21. So David dumped the arrows out and counted them. And behold, the arrows were all there, but one was broken. Psalm 76:3. David then understood that the broken arrow signified the unalive of his child. And he said, as arrows are in the hand of the mighty man, so are children of the youth. And happy is the man that his quiver, happy is the man that has his quiver full of them. Psalms 127, 4 and 5. I think I'm going to keep going. I think I'm going to do the sixth one too. The sixth restoration. Still pretty early. And David desired Bathsheba, but feared to be with her, lest the Lord would be angry with him, for he had sinned against the Lord with Bathsheba. So David pursued having children with other women, that his quiver might be full of arrows, and that he might be happy, but he would not come near Bathsheba. Romans 7:19. Now behold, Eliam, the father of Bathsheba, had prayed with a loud voice. See, we're gonna be knowing who some of our ancestors are, because we get in history. This is history. But behold, Eliam, the father of Bathsheba, had prayed with a loud voice for his daughter, that the man Bathsheba would marry would exalt her unto the stature of the queen of Israel. Josiah 6:20. Wherefore it was ultimately the will of God for Bathsheba to be with David. But because it was intimately within the way of Yeshua for Bathsheba and David to be fruitful and multiply, they begot a son within less than a year after Bathsheba conceived. And the conception occurred straightway upon the unalive of their firstborn. And Bathsheba had Bathsheba had hoped to call the child Amiel, for she said, Yeshua have heard the prayers of my father, and Yeshua have given me another son in the stead of Shumnas, who is no more. Now behold, Yeshua was hearkening unto the prayers of the father of Bathsheba, and the child was a gift of comfort from Yeshua unto Bathsheba. And this was the way that Yeshua had sent comfort unto Bathsheba, to carry her through the sorrow she felt from the swift unalive of her firstborn. So the things was from Yeshua, but David knew it not. And so David proceeded to cast her away from her own child, and he gave the child unto his brother, for his brother to raise him. And he had it arranged in such a way that Bathsheba was not going to be able to see her own child, and that the Lord was long suffering for the sake of the ignorance of David. That's in 2 Peter 3:9. And it was 1 year after the child of David and Bathsheba had passed, that another child was born by another woman. 1 Chronicles 3:9. Now this child David thought to use for a reminder to never touch Bathsheba again. Boy, he was stuck on that Bathsheba, wasn't he, y'all? Airplane-sized asteroid approach. All kind of stuff is happening in the heavens right now, y'all. An airplane-sized asteroid has now entered into the universe, the solar system. Just popped up on the top of my phone. Man, you can't make this up. David loved him some Bathsheba. Okay, and David called the name of his son Nathan. And David called the name of his son Nathan after the name of the prophet, who knew all these things that David and Bathsheba had ever done, and said that their only child together shall surely perish. So David had a baby by somebody else, and he named his son Nathan. For David thought that for the rest of his life, he would have a constant reminder to refrain from Bathsheba. So he figured, if I name this child Nathan, I'm going to remember what happened, because I remember what Nathan told me. Yeah, Jeremy, Dogface, he was sprung. What you call it, what the older people say? His nose was wide open. You could run a whole diesel through his nose. Man, King David, I can't wait to laugh at him when I see him. Boy, Bathsheba had you. I can't wait to see Bathsheba. She was beautiful. I'm going to say, boy, you had David's nose wide open. All right, it says he would have a constant reminder to refrain from Bathsheba, because every time he would speak of his son, he would say Nathan. And whenever he said Nathan, he would remember the day that Nathan the prophet foretold the unalive of the child Bathsheba conceived in adultery with David, which led to the unalive of Uriah by the hand of David. How you gonna unalive somebody and you done slept with their wife? 2 Samuel 11 and 2 Samuel 14 and 15. All right. How about David could not comprehend that Yeshua could and would use the hand that had written a letter that had an innocent man unalive. Exodus 20:13. That Yeshua should use the same hand to write letters that would diagnose every sick disease, ill creature healed, and without much thought about it, David spent most of his time writing words down, and some of them he would give to certain people, whoever that he thought would appreciate his writings as inspirations from the Lord of living spirits. And David wrote often, and he wrote poems for Bathsheba, and he wrote riddles for Gad, and he wrote psalms for Nathan, and he wrote stories for Zadok. Remember, Zadok was from the tribe of Levi. He was a Levitical priest. Nothing new under the sun. Yep, it's happening today. You right, Eagle. You right. And he wrote stories for Zadok. And one day, when he sent for Bathsheba to be fetched and brought unto him, hoping to read to her from the poems he had written for her, which were from his heart, and it was important to him that she hear the poems and understand them. How about Bathsheba knew not the measure of the importance of the thing was for David, and she knew not of the abundance of the labor that he had spent on her poems more than the others. For the others he did not think much about, but her poems were special to him, and he thought hard as he wrote them. And it was not easy for him to express his feelings towards her in writings. Wherefore, the easiest way for David to write unto Bathsheba was in poems. Now, as Bathsheba drew nigh unto the river where David was waiting for her, she yelled at him, saying, I want to see our son. And David said, Shemiah is with his uncle, and I told my brother that he can keep him. And so he hath taken the name of my brother, and he is now raising him as his son. But I know how you must feel, and I am hoping that these poems that I have written you can bring you comfort. And Bathsheba snatched the poems out of his hands and tore them in pieces and tossed them in the river. And she said, take me to see our child, and I'll bring him home with me. Why should your brother raise him? Shemiah is our child. He is not his child. And this thing frustrated David, because he knew now that all of his poems that he had written were lost forever. And being mad at Bathsheba for tearing up his poems that he had written for her, he looked at her in the eyes with a serious look, and he said, our only child together perished in the same week that he was born. The boy that you speak of is with my brother, and is being raised as his own child. And if you say that he is our child again, then I will send you to your first husband. Now oh man. And you know where her first husband is, sleeping with the fish. I will send you to your first husband. Now repeat after me. My only child is unalive. Now Bathsheba did not want to say that, but being in fear of David, she said it. And she was forced to say it many thousands of times. And she said it so much that she began to believe it. Now, the physically abusive things that David did unto Bathsheba are not mentioned here. But here you have been given some of the verbal abuse that Bathsheba endured. And other days were some violent natures between David and Bathsheba. Psalms 107 and 20. Wow. Wow. Yeah, the Most High was not playing. And so Yeshua revealed unto Nathan the prophet how hurt that David had left Bathsheba feeling. And Yeshua sent Nathan unto David with inspired empathy to deliver a message from the King of Kings. Revelation 17 and 14. And Nathan said, what troubles thy? And what thinkest thy? For thou hast issues. Hast I not known that it was not thee alone that gave birth to the unalive child, but that Bathsheba, the unalive child's mother, also has mourned and wept and suffered in equal great loss, seeing how she has carried a child in her womb for 9 months? Thinkest thou the unalive of the child was not an easy thing for Bathsheba? 2 Samuel 12 and 16. Nathan said, like, you're not the only one. Bathsheba was going through the pain. She carried the baby. Or thinkest thou that thou hast loved Uriah more than Bathsheba have loved Uriah, whom thou secretly slew with a pen and ink? David then slew him with a pen and ink. 2 Samuel 11 and 14 and verse 15. Bathsheba has lost both husbands and child, and now Willis thy has had many of opportunities to comfort Bathsheba, thou doest not. But rather, thou wilt refrain thyself from her in hopes that you might add a greater torment unto her soul, because she thought that you loved her. Now she has lost 3 loves, 2 of them to unalive, and 1 to a growing torment. And the growing of her child ought to bless her, not torment her. And yet, behold, an anointed daughter of God is tormented, knowing that her son is growing up without her, because it seems to thee not enough to completely cut her off and cast her away from her own child and hate her openly without a cause. Matthew 5 and 22. He was doing that so he could leave her alone. He was trying to be mean and trying to be rough, and he trying to hate the lady because he loved the lady. Boy. But now thou hast found a need to use my name as an instrument of arrogance and a tool of torment. Because Nathan said, now you done name one of your kid Nathan. And now you want to use my name as an instrument of arrogance and a tool of torment, and calling thy infant Nathan? What manner of trickery have entered into the imagination of your erroneous thoughts of the heart of the king of Israel? Has the king of the anointed of God gone mad? Knoweth thou not that the Lord thy God in heaven have given another child unto Bathsheba in place of her babe that you slew? Given another child unto Bathsheba in the place of her babe that you slew? Notwithstanding, you have taken the new child away from her, and have given him unto his uncle, that he might bear the name of your brother, and be estranged from his own mother. Genesis 6 and 5. Doest thou wish to pretend to not know that the whole nation celebrates the birth of the king's child? Yeah, we learning. Is it not unseemly for evil to continually reign within the heart of the king, of the chosen representative of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords of righteousness? Mark 12 and 40. Now expectant thou Bathsheba to celebrate much and make merry with a cheerful heart, when she continually hears the King David has named his child Nathan after the prophet. 1 Chronicles 3 and 9. Surely Bathsheba was hiding in the upper chamber when I spoke unto you that the child shall perish, and Bathsheba knows my name. Bathsheba heard me declare the infant's unalive. Genesis 3 and 10. So he said, now, she heard me tell you this. Then you're going to name this baby Nathan. Now Bathsheba have said in her heart, David have named this child Nathan to mock me. My king wishes me unalived, and I shall serve my king. Now suffer me to counsel. I know, for Bathsheba. Now suffer me to counsel thee regarding women. Cease to expect anything from them. And he was putting hands on her too. This part just didn't tell it, but it kind of told it. It told us about the verbal abuse, but it said, so he was putting hands on her too. Just see them as one with you and no different. See them as human beings, even daughters of Abba, of all. And when you have rightly done this, then you shall have no more lust for any woman in your heart. And at that level of life, you will see a woman in a whole new light, and you shall view them differently than you have in times past. And as Nathan was teaching these truths unto David, he then began to cease lusting after Bathsheba, for he no longer wanted her for selfish reasons of the flesh. Rather, he began to see her just for who she is, a child of God, someone like him, somewhat like himself. And then David said unto Nathan, behold, Nathan, thou awesome. Okay, thou awesome, true man of God, thanks to your words, I am seeing these things clearly now, and I can see Bathsheba clearly now for who she is, and no longer what I selfishly would like her to be. Now, as thou hast freely given me this insight, that I might see Bathsheba clearly and spiritually for who she really is, I pray that you may suffer me to see her literally in my flesh, that I might seize this chance to hear her broken spirit. Only tell me where she is, and I will do the rest, for I can see clearly now. Matthew 7, 5, and 6. And Nathan answered now, behold, if thou wilt see her, then go to the place where thou was when you first seen her. For thou hast showed her how to get up there when thou shared with her the very place where you were standing, when you saw her for the first time. And now she has made her way up there, and she is up there on top of the king's roof. Revelations 2 and 4 and verse 5. Now if thou make haste and get up there quickly and talk with her, then by chance it may be that you save her life. But if thou goest not up there now, then she shall jump off the king's roof and perish, for she has determined to jump to her unalive. But I say unto you that if she jumps, you pushed her. Wow. Jude 1:22 verse 3. He said, but I say unto you that if she jumped, you pushed her. Because he pushed her off the edge, basically. He didn't have to physically push her, but what he did to her, you did it. And now her unalive is going to be on you. She lost her husband by no choice of hers. Then she abused by something. Right. And she lost, but she cheated. And so, but then, she made a mistake. And David didn't have to go unalive her husband. He done went and took the husband so he could be with her. Oh, praises. You're going to have to tell me what chapter this is in the sealed portion. Okay, now y'all, I can't stop. This is the 7th restoration. And David went unto the king's roof, and he said to Bathsheba, wait. And Bathsheba said, leave me alone to perish, for I know thou wantest me. I know that you want me unalive, and I shall unalive now to serve my king. Romans 1 and 28. And David said, wait, Bathsheba, I love you. And Bathsheba said, no, I don't believe you. And David said, I do, Bathsheba, I love you. Colossians 3 and 19. And Bathsheba said, my king maketh a very great statement, but in a few more steps I shall be at the edge of the highest part of the palace. And what maketh me think that I shall suffer thee enough time to prove unto me that you truly love me, as you say before I jump off and leave this life? Revelations 12 and 12. Right, he should have just left her alone. David said it was her fault because, yeah, and Bud, you hear that? David talking about it's her fault because she fine. No, it ain't her. That's what she looked like, man. It's your fault because your flesh is lusting, man. And Bathsheba said, behold, I hear the voice of our unalive child. And even now the voice of our only child crieth out of the king's mouth to accuse me of my sin. And I can see that the cause of my infant's unalive rests upon me. And I am not without blame, but I am guilty. And my guilt is turned into heaviness. And I cannot lift up the burden. And I shall not bear my reproach any longer. For it is indeed in sin that I conceived of my child. And I conceived in you. And I had conceived in you righteousness. Then thou, my babe child, wouldst have lived and not be unalive. Psalm 69, 19 and 20. And Bathsheba looked at David and beheld the king just stood there, dumbfounded. For David could not speak because he was at the loss of words. Ezekiel 3:26. And Bathsheba cried to the child, and she wept for the infant, and she said, I am in great terrible sorrow for having borne you in sin, my child. And she turned to look off the rooftop and said, this is in Luke 23:28, my child who is unalive, yet speaketh. I will come unto you now to join you, for it may be that my God will accept my life as a sacrifice for my sin, and I would then be unalive, and you still speak, like as unto you, my child, rather than alive and unable to speak, like unto this king. Hebrews 11:4. Okay, it's Satan, I rebuke you. Leave my channel alone. McGofflin, try to log out and log back. It's getting good. And man, this devil, I blame it. Because this don't make no sense why it keeps buffering like this, only with certain people. I know, that's sad, Master P. My child, who is unalive and yet speaketh. Okay, I already read that. And David said, O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall show forth my praise, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. Psalms 51:14 and 15. He was looking dumbfounded. He was lost for words. Right. I know. I don't even want to stop. And Bathsheba said, O Lord, please accept the unalive of me as a sacrifice for my sin, and I shall now jump from the king's roof to join my child and my first husband. And moreover, I hope to join you, Lord. Only accept this thing as an offering of my life upon thine altar, to be a sacrifice for my sin, which caused my innocent child such a wicked, uneasy, unalive of torment. That's why that baby passed. And while Bathsheba was yet speaking, David said in a loud voice, the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit and a broken and a contrite heart. And we know that the Father, a broken heart and a contrite spirit. O God, thou willest not despise, for thy desire is not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thy the walls of Jerusalem. Then shall thou be pleased with your sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thy altar. Psalms 51 and 16, 17, 18, and 19. Shalom, Sister April. And David prayed and prayed some words which cannot even be uttered by a man, but as he prayed, Bathsheba found herself comforted. And David prayed and said, behold, thou desirest truth in inward parts, and in the hidden parts thou shalt make me know wisdom. For David had hidden certain things from Bathsheba, but David was learning now that he could hide nothing from God. Hebrews 4 and 13, Psalms 51 and 6. And David now, knowing he could not hide his sins from God, he cried unto God, and he prayed asking God, saying, hide my face from my sins and blot out my own iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from your presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore me. I got cold chills. Restore me the joy of thy salvation, and then I will teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto you. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Psalms 51 and 7, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. He crying out. He don't want that lady to jump. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of your tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions. And much was taking place while David prayed in spirit, such as all as the transgressions of Bathsheba were blotted out. For David and Bathsheba were one. How about they were moments when some of the words of the prayers of David, Bathsheba thought it to be David making excuses towards her. For Bathsheba imagined that David endeavored to give Bathsheba an explanation for his recent conduct and his rude behavior, such as his uncomely attitude. But Bathsheba was very naive of the king's matters, and she knew not that David spoke of more sins of a greater darkness than merely the way that he had been treating her. For David was very troubled, and Bathsheba knew not of half, for she had no idea. Because he was talking to Father in tongues in a whole nother language. And David said, for I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is before me. And now behold, David said this also before the Lord. Nevertheless, and how about? Bathsheba reckoned that David was saying it unto her in an endeavor to say to her, I am not perfect, Bathsheba. I know that. I have treated you wrong. Please forgive me. Psalms 51:3. Now because the Holy Spirit was in the heart of David, David perceived and knew with a total awareness that Bathsheba had imagined these words were towards her to make an excuse for his ignoring of her for so long and making other actions against her, than to then ask her to forgive him. But this moment was not about Bathsheba, but this was about God. Galatians 2:20. He had to clear his heart, get rid of them sins so the Spirit could come back. And so that Bathsheba would not any longer imagine the prayers of David to be apologies to her, David looked straight up into the heavens, and he shouted louder than he'd ever shouted in all of his days. And David yelled, against thee, no one else, thee only, nobody else. Only against thee have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when you judge. Now David had committed a sin, greater darkness than Bathsheba. So whereas the transgressions of Bathsheba were already blotted out because of the prayers of David and the grace of God. 2 Samuel 12:13. The sins of David still troubled and tormented him, for David could not forget his sin because every moment he looked at Bathsheba, he knew that he had unalived her first husband without a cause. Matthew 5:21 and 22. Wherefore David shouted now, even louder on the God. And he said, deliver me from guiltiness. O God, thou God of my salvation. Now because David had shouted so loud, and Bathsheba thought that David despised her, and because David said, deliver me from guiltiness, Bathsheba imagined that David was planning to cast her off of the roof, for she said within herself that David was asking God for forgiveness for what he was about to do, thinking that he would push her off. So she thought he was asking God to forgive him for about to push her off. He was asking that forgiving for unaliving her husband. And although at the first Bathsheba was ready to perish, now by this time God had already blotted out her transgressions and iniquities, and she was very much comforted and free from the heavy burden of her guilt, of her sin. Whereas Bathsheba had wanted to pass away, now she wanted to live, for she ultimately chose life. Deuteronomy 30:19. But then David put his head down, and he prayed to the Lord softly, and this comforted Bathsheba. And as much as Bathsheba now did not think at that moment that David was going to throw her off. 2 Samuel 12:24. Y'all want me to go to 8? Y'all want me to read 8, or should I just go ahead and read to 10? I can read 8 and then go to Third Testament, or I can, okay, y'all want me to read 8? All right, we're going to go to 10. We're going to go to 10. All right, the 8th restoration. And as David prayed to the Lord, David smote upon his breast, and David comforted Bathsheba with his prayer to God. Luke 18:13. And David comforted her in so much that Bathsheba turned around and began to kneel down and pray and ask God for forgiveness for almost jumping off of the king's roof to her unalived and taking her own life. That's in Genesis 50:21. But as David was praying, his head was down, and he was not able to clearly see Bathsheba, for David was weeping that hard. Therefore, when Bathsheba had turned herself around and knelt down on her knees to pray, David thought she was turning around to jump off. So then David ran forward, thinking to save Bathsheba. But when Bathsheba seen the shadow of David running at her, it startled her. And she, being afraid that David was coming to throw her off, jumped out of the way. Then David, seeing that Bathsheba had moved to the left of him, changed his direction to still jump at Bathsheba to catch her, hoping and thinking to save her life. How about in doing this, David stumbled and fell against Bathsheba, and they both fell off the king's roof. What? Now behold, the king's roof was about way up from the ground, and it reached high into the heavens, and the fall from it was far. And at the first sign of them both falling, David cried unto the Lord these words, uphold me with thy free spirit. Now upon saying, I know, that's what I'm saying. This is the first time ever hearing it. Now upon the saying of these words, the Lord held them up, and they were able to fly as free as a fowl in the air. For the Lord had held them up with his free spirit, and thought it was David who had said this, and not Bathsheba. And the Lord held them both because they were one flesh, and they also joined together, and they were also joined together in spirit. Ephesians 4:3. Now take heed, because Bathsheba was flying as free as the fowl of the air. As the fowl often loses a feather, even so Bathsheba lost her remnant. The garments of Bathsheba fell to the earth. And David beheld the nakedness of Bathsheba, and he had an uncontrollable lust of his eyes for her flesh, and he yielded over to the desire of her naked body of flesh. Galatians 5:22. He bet not he gonna fall to his unalive doing that. And now when David had yielded over to lust, even in the air, he had not love for Bathsheba, because he lusted for Bathsheba. Wherefore they were drawn away from the free spirit of the Lord, and the free spirit held them not up like two lovebirds, but they fell to the earth and were unalive. For they unalived the instant they hit the ground. Oh man, he went and fell in the lust as they was falling. Why you do that, David? And when Nathan the prophet went outside of the king's house, he looked, and behold, David and Bathsheba were unalive side by side. He was saving them. He held them up in the air. I gotta go back up. David had said, and not Bathsheba, and the Lord held them both up, because they were one flesh, and they were also joined together in spirit. Now take heed, because Bathsheba was flying as free as the fowl of the air, and as the fowl often loses a feather, even so Bathsheba lost her remnant, and the garments of Bathsheba fell to the earth. And David beheld the nakedness of Bathsheba. That's how Satan got him. God dang. And he had an uncontrollable lust of his eyes for her flesh, and he yielded over to the desire of her naked body of flesh. He lost his life behind lust. Now when David had yielded, so Nathan the prophet went outside, and they was laid out there. He looked and beheld David and Bathsheba were unalive side by side. That's in Jasher 1:15. Now Nathan the prophet stretched forth his hands across David and Bathsheba, and he said unto them, King and queen, arise. And straightway, and straightway they both arose from the unalive and looked at each other. And Nathan said unto David, you may now kiss the bride. Wait, I'm confused now. And when David reached over to kiss Bathsheba, he could not move, nor Bathsheba get up, for many of their bones were broken from the landing of the fall on the king's roof. Okay, so they didn't pay. He thought they was unalive. They had broken bones. They couldn't get up. I know, I had us all worked. And David looked into the eyes of Bathsheba, and he said, Bathsheba, I love you. And Bathsheba spoke not unto him. And he said again, I love you, Bathsheba. But Bathsheba answered not. And Bathsheba closed her eyes, and David thought she was unalive. And David said, no, do not die. As your king, I command you to live and speak to me. How about in all this Bathsheba spake not, nor opened her eyes? And David said to Nathan, raise her back to life. And Nathan said, what's done is done. And David said, I am your king. Now raise her up to life. And Nathan said, what's done is done. Or thinkest thou that I have a life-giving power of my own accord? The power in me is none other than the Spirit of God, because I yield over to the word of the Lord and meditate on his words of all people. Surely my king is not ignorant of this. Now with the king's permission, I must leave. Psalms 1 and 2. And David said, no, Nathan, wait, stay with me. You see, I cannot even get up. Hebrews 10 and 25. And Nathan said, I must go, because the Lord sends me elsewhere. My time here is up. I have spoken the words of God, and thou hast received them. And the words of healing and life are in you now. And you must needs do is speak them into existence of outer manifest form. And Nathan went away and left David and Bathsheba alone on the ground. And David nor Bathsheba could get up because of the landing of the great fall, for their bodies were broken. And David reckoned that it was God who had broken their bones, because he gathered that it was the love of God that moved him to risk his life for hers. Now David thought Bathsheba was unalive, and David mourned for her. And he wept and he cried and he said, all I wanted was to hear her say she loved me. I only wanted her voice to utter these words. I love her with all of my heart, Lord. That's in Matthew 22 and 37. This fool still, boy, I can't wait to see them. And David cried and wept until the sun went down. And behold, it was dark. And David in a loud voice made known his request unto God. And David said, make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. And immediately Bathsheba said, I love you, David. And suddenly the bones of David and Bathsheba were healed. Psalms 51 and 8. This is a magical story. This is a miraculous story. And David picked up Bathsheba in his arms and carried her up to the king's room. And David knew his wife, and she conceived and bore a son. And they called his name Solomon. That's when Solomon was born, y'all. We learning. So I never did know that Bathsheba was, I knew that King David was Solomon's dad, but it never clicked to me that Bathsheba was the mother, and the whole story of how they love story went and all of that. Wow. So the 9th restoration. Yes, they had King Solomon. Well, he wasn't the king at that time, but they had a son and they conceived him and they bore his name and they called his name Solomon. Let's go. Now behold, the Lord loved Solomon very much, for the Lord knew Solomon before he was born and had chosen him to be the son of David, the king. Jeremiah 1 and 5. Oh, y'all, this book getting good. We learning. For all the day of the conception of Solomon, that is on the day before the night that the seed of David, which was to be Solomon, entered into the womb of Bathsheba. Genesis 38, 9 and 10. The Lord had sent Nathan away from the presence of David and Bathsheba immediately after raising them from the dead. Oops, F1. Giving them a blessing in marriage. He gave them a blessing in marriage. He said, if this man loved her this much, they didn't fail today unalive. I'm about to raise them up. I'm about to give King Solomon your income through them. For the Lord had called Nathan the prophet to go away and pray that David and Bathsheba might obtain mercy and favor of the Lord, and that Bathsheba will give birth to a godly seed. Malachi 2 and 15. And moreover, the Lord was leading Nathan the prophet out of temptation, and that the Lord led Nathan the prophet away from the nakedness of Bathsheba. Oh, that's why he said, I must leave. Because remember, her clothes came off when she was fallen. And so she was down there naked. She was beautiful, probably had a body. And the father said, Nathan, you got to go. So he said that he led Nathan the prophet away from the nakedness of Bathsheba. Luke 11 and 4, so he wouldn't get to lusting. Yes, so for the respect of it. Okay, yeah, we did communion after Jasher a while ago. I don't know why this live is looping. I rebuke Satan. I don't know. Hopefully when I post it on TikTok, it'll play all the way through. and not be doing this crazy repeat. Nevertheless, and how about that because Nathan the prophet has stretched his hands and arms across and uncovered the body of Bathsheba in the eyes of Nathan, the prophet beheld the naked body of Bathsheba. Because of this thing, the Spirit of God was not presently in the mind of Nathan the prophet. Wherefore Nathan's remembrance of the Lord's words were very vague, insomuch that although Nathan the prophet knew the voice of the Lord, had come and spoken to him, and charged him to pray for the child that will be called Solomon. The father told Nathan to pray for the child that was going to be born, the son of David. Even so, Nathan could not remember specific details of what exactly he was to pray for concerning Solomon, because he don't seen the lady with the body. Therefore, although the Lord has said to Nathan the prophet to pray that the seed of David and Bathsheba would be a godly seed, Nathan the prophet prayed not for the seed of David and Bathsheba to be a godly seed, but instead Nathan the prophet prayed in the ways that men who understand not inner hidden mysteries in the kingdoms and the sacred symbols and parables pray. Even as many who pray fancy prayers and savor seeming substance, forgetting who their first love is. Romans 8:26. Now, the words that Nathan the prophet prayed on that day, that he in his forgetful frame of mind were of this nature. Although the Lord God, I beseech you, beg you, hear my prayer and hearken to the words of your servant. For you know my heart, and you know me. When I say her, and behold, she is a fair sight for my eyes, or of any man. But because I seen her, I know her spirit is gone from me. For I looked upon her with much lust. Yeah, that's why he forgot his words. I almost said the N-word. This fool then looked at her and forgot what God told him to pray. And he said, I looked upon her with much lust. Now, Lord, I remember not what you commanded me to pray for. He done lost his memory, y'all. But I know you said, pray for our next king. I know you said that, but I can't remember what else you said. Because she fine, she got a body, and I don't forgot. Oh, my goodness. So if it be pleasing to you, Lord, then give the child an understanding heart to discern the things with wisdom. That's why Solomon has so much wisdom, y'all. We put 2 to 2 together. He said, I done forgot what you told me originally, because she's sitting up here, light-skinned and haughty, with a body, and I forgot, Father. But he said, so if it be pleasing to you, Lord, then give the child an understanding heart to discern things with wisdom. Bless him with riches and honor. If he doeth well with these things, then furthermore give him long life, that he may live forever. And Nathan the prophet said, Amen. 1 Chronicles 22:12. And the Lord said, I have done according to your words, and I have given thee that thou hast not asked. For I know that within your heart thou desire righteousness to shine forth as bright as the morning sun. Wherefore, I have given thee a second chance of opportunity to exercise certain spiritual gifts. He gave the prophet Nathan a second chance. Because Nathan, he got in his flesh. And he just totally forgot what the Father told him to pray for. He said, to exercise certain spiritual gifts and to practice perfect prayer. I will heal thine wounded heart, Nathan. You need not fear. I condone thee not. I love you as a child, and even in my wrath you shall be blessed. So ye verily should have asked what it was that I had instructed thee to pray for concerning the offspring of David. If you have feared not to ask me, I would have told thee again and then again, even unto 490 times each necessary day. Now for what I am willing and even ready to do, I must cause earth time to cease, and time shall enter into eternity and be at peaceful rest. And the whole universe, as you consciously know, it shall enter the Shaloic stage of stillness and moment. I do all this as to not slay another seed of David and Bathsheba as before, seeing that neither of them twine could emotionally endure such another great loss. And the father was merciful because they was losing kids because of their sin. And the father said, I'm not going to do this with Solomon. Emotionally endure such another great loss. And moreover, I do this for thy own sake, Nathan, for thou hast not prayed for the things to be of God, but thou hast wrongfully prayed for the things that be of man. Now take heed, Nathan, if I suffer this boy to rule within the city of peace, I must hold thee accountable. I must hold you accountable. And if when the child grows and leads multitudes of my children away from their first love, ye, Nathan, will bear guilt of all evil in thine conscience. And thou shalt say, it is all my fault. Woe unto me. The whole world has deceived, and I am at fault by means of my faulty prayer on the day of the conception of Solomon. But because he started praying for other stuff, not what the father told him to pray for. He said, Father, I didn't forgot what you told me to pray, but give him wisdom and give him riches. He prayed for him to have money. That ain't what the father told you to pray. But he's forgiven you. Yep, 70 times 70. But be of good cheer, Nathan, and take heart, for I shall prepare a way of escape. For I shall prepare a way of escape. And when the time comes for the earth time to resume rotation, neither David nor Solomon shall connect with one another in the plane of names. And David and Bathsheba both will call the boy Shobab. For this shall serve as a shadow of the Solomonic system of things to come, which my spirit of truth hath taught you. And I am spirit, hence you know of me. And in this way, Nathan, when Solomon is finally born, and when he introduces the apostasy into the whole world, you shall be free from responsibility of the iniquities of the insurmountable idolatry which proceeded out of the loins of Solomon. And now at my command, the world of time in ages of all its happiness shall cease. And when these things return again after many days, then I shall give thee great favor with David and Bathsheba, and then twain shall even respect you so much that they shall call you in to witness the birth of their children from that day forth. And you will watch them name their next son after you, in honor of Nathan the prophet. They shall call him Nathan, but this child you shall not write about within the book of Nathan the prophet, because it is expedient that you are able to maintain a pure heart, even when Solomon is born and grows up and burns up the books of Nathan the prophet. Thou must not have frustration and anger towards Solomon, but must show him love as well as others. But I say unto you that the child that Bathsheba and David will call Nathan will come to mean much to you, and will be your favorite little friend. As he grows, ye twine shall develop a friendship that you have never before experienced. Now, if you write about him in the book of Nathan the prophet, then you would take it personal when Solomon destroys your book. And a prophet must have a pure heart, even towards his enemies. 1 Kings 3 and 12 and 13. Okay, let's go. Shalom, Tawab. I didn't see Tawab was a... Yes, Carlos, this whole story, the book of Nathan, boy. We didn't learn some stuff. I know I heard about a King David messing with Bathsheba. I'm having downloads. I'm just connecting dots. That's connected now. That he unalived her husband. I never knew his name. I know his name is Uriah now. Man. Now at this point, Nathan the prophet did not. And so now at this point, Nathan the prophet did not interrupt God. For he now had learned to be still and listen. And the Lord knew that he was simply being silent by choice. And the Lord knew his heart. So he answered him accordingly, saying, be not troubled about what I said about the time lapse. For it is expediently relevant for you that I do so that you have prayed in error, and not even knowing what spirit you are not even knowing what spirit you are of, you have said amen. And you know that you have dedicated your life to the things that tend toward the power of the faithful spoken word. And you wonder if there is something that I am not telling you. And the truth is, there are many things that I'm not telling you. Why is this fan blowing this? Hold on. He said there's many things that I'm not telling you, for you cannot bear them now. But the time will come when the real and final Solomon will come and be born. And you, Nathan, must be consciously aware that it was not your fault when Solomon leads everyone under the sun away from the light. Therefore, I am changing the identity of the seed you prayed for from peace to apostasy, even from Solomon to Shobab, which is given as a sign unto the elect one, and have been made manifest in, by, and through the Nathanic prophet in the last days, unto the seed of the same, symbolizing how Solomon shall begin in peace and end in apostasy. And you, Nathan, can be confident that when it happens, it is not your fault, for you shall have another chance to pray for Solomon. This time, keep your prayers short and sweet, and from the heart, wish him well, and call him Jedidiah, for you must love him as much as I. And when he deceives and corrupts countless children, it cannot be said that it was your fault, nor mine. And the Lord asked Nathan if he was ready if he was ready, and Nathan said yes. And at that moment, the whole earth stood still, and time ceased. And while the sons and the daughters of men who were stayed on the earth, idle, without movement, like frozen ice, remained in their place. And the Lord made 8 great planets with life and breath and bones for every creature of every planet. Josiah 10:3. This is deep. And the Lord said, behold, I see these dwelling places are surely good, very good. And these creatures, I am very glad that I have created them. They have love for each other, and I have love for them. Genesis 1:31. And the Lord said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish your dwelling place. And when there is no more room in your dwelling place, I will show you another dwelling place for your descendants. Genesis 1:22. And the Lord said, and the Lord was with his creations, and he spent one day with one planet and with the next. How about there was never a planet of his creation that he left, for he was in all, inasmuch as he was in all places at all times. Ephesians 4:6. That's why the Bible says he created the worlds with an S. With an S. Now behold, the Lord had made small creatures and giant creatures, and every creature on every planet. All shared the same tongues. Acts 2:8. And the Lord had done this so that he could take creature from one dwelling place to another planet for a dwelling place, and they could commune with one another. It was often as God would assemble them together in heaven for a time of sharing differences. Hebrews 10:25. Now they were all one mind and had no difference in thought, but they had different abilities and were different shapes and sizes. For some were very small, but could jump and fly, and others were very large in stature. And God made different sized planets for his different sized creatures. Revelation 17:13. Now if I were to measure it by the time scale of the earth, more than 82 billion years would have passed here on earth if I could have measured it. And so God had given place for new creatures. He had more. And behold, all of their planets were filled, and they wanted their young ones to live in heaven for a dwelling place. But the Lord said no. Matthew 20:20. For the Lord had reserved a spot for his people. And they said, what people? And the Lord said, I made a promise to some other sheep that I have, which are not of this fold, and I will always keep my promises. And they said, what shall we do? And where should we stay? We have no more room on this planet because there are now so many of us. Shall we go stay with other people that you speak of? Is there room among them? Malachi 3 and 10. And the Lord said, yes, there is room among them, and be with it unto you according to your words. And Matthew 12 and 37. And that instance, they found themselves on the earth with God's people. And they said, when we are young ones, we multiply here on this planet, then our Creator will take these people to heaven and leave us on this place. Genesis 38:9. Now, as surely as we have been in heaven, it is better than this place. Yeah, of course, better than, wait a minute, this is getting deeper and deeper. So, when we read some of our records, and it says some of the ancestors was here, what was that said? That they wasn't going to leave until they found out till we got our records. I don't know. My mind is all over the place right now because I'm reading stuff. I mean, I ain't never, let's keep reading. Now, perhaps if we destroy these little people, then our Creator will give us a place in heaven, because it may be that we can have that place that is reserved for this people. Now, these words came out of the creature's own accord. You laughing at? But that a legion of demons. Now these words came not on the creature's own accord, but that a legion of demons led by Satan, the Diablo, and instructed by Beelzebub. Remember Beelzebub when we did that lesson on spiritual attacks? He's the chief of the demons. The prince of the devils had deceived God's creatures, for they said, we are legions and we are many, and we would like to meet our leader. And behold, here he comes now. He is with our prince. Mark 5 and 9. Now when Satan's approach to God's creatures, he appeared to them in the image of a great red dragon, and the prince Beelzebub followed behind him. And he said, behold, the great red dragon. Matthew 12 and 24. Now God's creatures. So now I'm trying to think, okay, is it the demons that's down here? Because they said, we done outgrew our planet. Can we come down to the earth? Can we go to heaven? And the Father said, no, that's reserved for my people. So they wasn't his people. So were they demons? Now God's creatures beheld him, and they said, we see a red dragon, but what is so great about him? For we are all equal unto him. Are we not of all the same stature? Revelations 12 and 3. And the red dragon answered, yes, we are all the same stature, but they call me great because I breathe hot fire out of my mouth. Now tell us, what do they tell you? What did they tell you? Isaiah 27 and 1, Job 41 and 9, and then down to verse 19. It's giving you precepts on these. And one of God's creatures answered and said, there be many of us also, and we could be likened unto legion, because we all share the same name. Our name is Dinosaur. And the red dragon said, can we also breathe fire? And the dinosaur answered, and have never tried, for we have no need of fire and destruction, because we are creatures of peace and not war. Revelations 12 and 17, Job 41 and 21. And the red dragon spoke cunningly, and he said, yes, we shall all live in peace. After that we have destroyed these evil, wicked humans, these people of darkness and sin. They calling us wicked humans. So that's why the demons are down here trying to destroy us now, every day. And the red dragon began to expound unto them a portion of the scriptures. Because remember, Satan knows all the scripts. He knows the secrets. And he showed them only the books which he chose to show them. Revelations 20 and 10. Now behold, the red dragon spoke into the dinosaur, and he read to them some of the Psalms of David. And he read to them the book of Jasher and the book of Judges. Satan then read the demons the book of Jasher, and they mentioned it in our Bible, and we ain't even knowing nothing about Jasher until we got in this truth. Satan then read it to the demons. Yes, he tried to flip the script. That's what he tried to do, and he made sure they didn't put it in the Bible, because he was working with the Romans. Now, when they were done reading the books, the dinosaur, and we know that dinosaur, that's a metaphor symbolism. The dinosaur imagined that they would be doing their creator a great favor to destroy the people, so that they endeavored to destroy them. Genesis 6:6 and Jasher 7:7. So this was their whole plot to get rid of humanity, brothers and sisters. These legions that are down here on the earth. How about they were not able because there were cherubims of the Lord with flaming swords to protect God's people. And when the dinosaur approached to destroy God's people, all of the dinosaurs were slew by the cherubims of the Lord with the flaming swords. Genesis 3:24. Now, because the dinosaurs were one and of one mind, every dinosaur on every planet felt the unalived of their descendants, and they inquired of their creator, and the Lord shared what had taken place. And the Lord took some dinosaurs from the oldest of the youngest, chose the Lord to take some from every generation to hold a funeral for a memorial of what had taken place, so that no other dinosaur would ever try to unalive a man or a woman or a child. Exodus 3:15, Exodus 21:28. Nevertheless, the funeral was conducted on the earth, and when the elders of the dinosaur witnessed that had taken place and saw the horrible things that had happened to the younger of the dinosaurs, they thought that they would take revenge for their younger. I believe these is the reptiles. Wherefore, all of the dinosaurs perished. How about not all perished by the flaming sword? The dinosaur on earth perished by the flaming sword, and all of the other dinosaurs perished by other plagues. Revelations 22:18. For the Lord knew their hearts and their minds, and they were all one. And the Lord had made them to be many, and now they were none. And the Lord made some planets too hot and some too cold, for he moved some too close to the sun, and others moved away from the sun. Psalms 33:9. Psalm 75:7. I don't know what's the abbreviation of DA? Daniel 2:21. How about some endured? Satan deceived everybody. How about some endured the freezing cold and the melting heat? And because the Lord is good and his mercy endure forever, the Lord took away the air on all of the dinosaurs' planets, that they could not breathe, so that they would not live long in the pains of heat and freezing, but rather now they would unalive instantly because of the lack of air on their planet. Psalms 106:1, Psalms 107:1. Now we're going to read the last one, the 10th restoration. We're going to read to the end of this, and then tomorrow we're going to pick up on the 11th. And the Lord remembered his words unto Nathan the prophet. Genesis 8:1. Now behold, the Lord has his plan for the son of David. And his plan is to make the son of David a godly seed. Malachi 2:15. Nevertheless, Yeshua have often times spoke through the mouth of Nathan the prophet in a way that is not known to man. Nathan, we ain't never even know. Yep, just what you just said, Fort Trey. I can't even, I don't want to say that and get cut off. The Tillies. Those are the dragons. That's what we talked about. The Tillies. Yes. Those were the dinosaurs. It wasn't the dinosaurs that we thinking, Master P. Fort Trey 3041 just posted it. I'm gonna say it with a M. The Morconians, but it start with a D. Yes. Nevertheless, Yeshua has oftentimes spoke through the mouth of the prophet Nathan in a way that is not known to man. Didn't I say the prophets get the words from the spirit world? And the prophet Nathan had often been meek in the times past and saved the prophet Moses and Enoch and some others. Let me read that again. And the prophet Nathan had often been meek in times past and saved the prophet Moses and Enoch and some others. There were not many prophets like unto Nathan, that Ahiah had been able to exalt to such a high state of inheritance, that he might be the king's own individual prophet, and a mighty one at that. Because Yeshaya have raised up David to be a king, and a mighty one at that. Oh, wait. Have raised up David to be a king, and Nathan to be the prophet of Yeshaya, for the sake of David the king. Now Nathan was found faithful in few things at the first of his days, as prophet, that is, when he first answered the call from Yeshaya. Wherefore, in due season, Nathan received many from Yeshaya, and was also found faithful in these things. Therefore, at that time, that was ordained for a child of Yeshaya to reap an earthly inheritance. Nathan the prophet received an heavenly inheritance. For Ahiah, the creator, gave this to Nathan to be a covenant of the faithfulness between Yeshaya and Nathan. Ecclesiastes 2:21. Matthew 6:5-6. You got 1 page and a half. In the token of Ahiah's own appreciation for the faithfulness of Nathan was to be a reminder of the covenant that Yeshaya had made with Nathan, at the same time that the Lord bestowed upon Nathan the heavenly inheritance of a fruitful servant, Luke 22:19. And the heavenly token of divine prophecy from Yeshaya to the servant called Nathan the prophet was this: Nathan the prophet was given the gift of perfect prayer, and Yeshaya revealed to Nathan what things were good for Nathan to pray and also how that he ought to pray. Luke 22:46, Romans 8:26. And sometimes Nathan was even able to see a portion of the plan of God during those times when Nathan prayed for Yeshaya to remove the veil from his mind's eyes. He prayed for his veil to be removed. The veil is getting thin right now in our dispensation of time. The veil is thinning. That's why people are starting to see demons more manifesting. That's in Luke 23:45, Matthew 6:22, Proverbs 1:1, Proverbs 6:6, Matthew 6:26, 28 and 29. Bunch of precepts where Nathan prayed to have his veil removed so he could see things. And Yeshaya himself walketh inside of the vessel of Nathan the prophet, and the body of Nathan the prophet is a probable sanctuary for Yeshaya. For Yeshaya is with Nathan the prophet, and walketh in him. 2 Colossians 6:16. For Yeshaya seeth that it is a good thing to live in his children. And because Yeshaya rested on the seventh day, Ahiah rested on the seventh day from all of his works which he had made. If he seeketh something to be done, it must need be that it accomplish that task through the strength and the works of his son and his daughters. Wherefore it is not Ahiah that does things now, but his sons and his daughters who have been given a choice. And Ahiah seeketh such to do the right things, and yet they discard altogether and choose wrong. And God gets blamed for the evil that his sons and daughters of men do. Like something happened to your kid, and then people want to blame God for it. No, it's the demon that was in that person. You can't blame him. Nevertheless, if God put an end to the evil and destroy and unalive men and women who do the evil, then God is the evil spoken of. And the righteous who God let live turn evil and speak against God and say, see, God is not good, a good God. For God doeth evil. God is unaliver. Behold, read it for yourself in the book of Genesis. See, can't win for losing. Get rid of the evil, you blame me. Forgive the evil, you blame. Come on. If you pop them down, he know they're going to be evil. If you pop them down, you're going to blame him and say, oh, he did it. And if something happened to your child, your mother, this, that, and from somebody that's evil, then you still blame him. But if God unalive, not those who do evil, then you blame God for all the evil of the earth, as if God himself doeth all these things. Isaiah 45:7. And so then you say, if there was even a God, behold, God is not real. There is no God. For it is is this deck gnats? For it, where is my at? There is no God, for if there is, then why doeth God allow for all this wickedness to take place in our world, which this is called God has given us? Which this is so-called God given us. Why does God let this happen? And that happens. Psalms 14:1. But I say unto you, it is not God who doeth evil, it is you. Would you rather that God make you into an idol with no breath and no choice, and say you stand still with no life in you? Genesis 2:7. Surely God have made, okay, we read this part. Why does this seem like we repeating this? Would you like to be an idol which God cannot see? Which you cannot see, cannot hear, cannot talk. Okay, they just recapping. And cannot talk and cannot make any decision with no life, no breath, no joy, no choice of good or evil. Genesis 2:17. You seem as if you think that God should have done that and made you like as an idol, seeing as how you persecute God and speak evil and falsely of God when people choose to do evil. You say God should make the evil cease, but behold, if God make the evil cease, then you blaspheme. And you say that God is evil because he made evil cease. Woe unto all of you who believe not the words of God, for you are found in the book of Nathan the prophet, and that is this book. Wait a minute. That didn't sound okay. Woe unto all of you who believe, not the words of God, for they are found in the book of Nathan the prophet, and that is this book. 1 Corinthians 29:29, 2 Corinthians 9:29. All right, so we'll do part 2 tomorrow. Part 2, we'll do, let's see, how many restorations is it? Okay, it's 27 restoration. We gonna do 11 probably through 20 tomorrow. Then we'll do the ending. We're going to get through this whole book. It got interesting. Who learned something about King David, Bathsheba, Nathan, and all that? If you learned something from this book, put a 3 in the chat. Shalom, Essie. Put a 3 in the chat if you learned about Bathsheba, about them falling off the roof, about they baby they had and why they lost their baby. Boy, we learned today. History, yes, was deep. Even talked about us damaging our lungs, which is a gift, by smoking trees, tobacco. Wait, let me see. Did I highlight that? It says, when you know, what did it say? Willingly. He says, woe unto every spirit soul in body of male and female that continually, knowingly, willingly, and mockingly pisseth upon the loving gifts of God. Our lungs are a gift. And when we do stuff to our lungs, you are willingly, continually, knowingly, and mockingly pissing upon the loving gifts of God. You can't make that up. Wow, wow, wow. So all praises. All right, we got an early night tonight. Be almost 3 hours and 10 minutes. If there's anybody that want to get baptized, put a 5 in the chat. If you're new to the channel, follow the channel so that you can get the notifications. This was a good read. I know, what a lesson, for real. And if you guys want the PDF, just hit me up. I'll send you the PDF. And anybody that's gotten books made from me, you can get this added into your books. This one is like, you get the 7 books, 6 books, and I'll give you this promo one, because this one ain't even a lot of pages. This one ain't that thick at all. It's only about like that. So, all praises. All right, so I got some books to put together and ship tomorrow. Y'all hit me up if y'all want to get some PDFs turned into books. I personally can't read PDFs. It's not good reads for me. You got to keep scrolling over, making big. It's too much work. I'd rather print them. So, and another one y'all need to get, hit me up. Y'all need the Testament of Solomon so y'all can know these demons' names and what spirit to call on who vexes their spirit. because demons are spirits. And they got, and the holy angels, Solomon told, he said he wrote this book for Israel. So we reading about Bathsheba and his father, and Solomon wrote the Testament of Solomon. So Solomon had ended up getting wicked. I'm sure we're going to read this in Nathan's book. But he left this book about the demons because he had power. Remember, Nathan prayed for the wrong things for him, but the Father gave him a gift where he could put this ring on the demons and trap them, and they helped him build the temple. So it just keep getting deeper, boy. We just keep eating. The Father just keep revealing. Everything that was in the dark, everything that was hidden from us, everything's coming to the light. All praises. So I'll be on tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, 9 Eastern, and 1 a.m. GMT. Thank you all the moderators for keeping all the tares at bay. I thank the baptizers. Even though we didn't get none today, Satan trying to hold people back. Past 2 days has been a little slow, but it's okay. It's the Father's timing. Also, thank you for all the hearts, all the gifts, and all the cash apps and the Zales that I received during this lesson. I love you guys, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I love learning with you guys every day. I love it. Okay, McLaughlin, you know what to do. Yes, I really enjoy it. When I was working on the sanctuary and everything, y'all don't even understand how much I be missing y'all. I can't wait to see you guys in the rain. I really can't. We got a sister about to come out here, Sister Shannon Carter. She about to move to the land. Dogface Jeremiah, the one Jeremy that did the logo or whatever, he possibly about to move to the land. I'm happy. I'm about to meet some of y'all before the 1,000-year reign. But we ain't got long. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Sissy. All praises. But just know, if it get bad in your area, you got a refuge place. You guys know that Nevada is under a ransomware cyber attack. That people that got EBT, people that got that, DMV is closed. All the state and federal buildings. It has been a sophisticated hack. Look it up. Nevada, I called my friend, I text her, that lived there in Vegas, and she says she ain't even been able to work. She works for the state. The past 7 days, it's been a cyber attack. You know what ransomware is? That means they're not going to put the system back up until they get money. They want ransom. That's going on right now. Do you guys know that people can't feed their children because their EBT cards ain't loaded up? Do you know that this is getting ready to start riots and looting? We're seeing the fall. Slowly but surely. Vegas is going to have troops there here in a minute. It happened August 24th, and we are September 2nd, and they're still out. Yes, the purge is going to be happening all over. So yeah, if you know anybody in Vegas, in Nevada, check on them. You may need to help them with food if they only rely on EBT. Nobody can't get anything at the DMV. None of that. All those things are done, closed right now. Even websites. I'm like, wow. So just pray for your family. Keep interceding. Keep doing what you're supposed to do. The Father love on you like he loved on Abraham. He gonna send an angel to get your people where they need to be. Whether it be in your house, the whole block can be caught up in a tsunami, but you're gonna be the last one standing. Because that's the type of love that he has for his people. Didn't you hear him say that he told these people on these other planets that they couldn't come to the kingdom? That was reserved for his people only. And he let them, they came down here. And they try to get us every day. They met with their leader, Satan, and his second to man, Beelzebub. He's the chief commander after Satan. So we gonna win. We gonna win this dark war. We are gonna win. So I'll see you guys on tomorrow. Much love and much respect. Make sure you guys do not go to sleep without repenting. And that you close all doors that you may have opened, knowing and unknowing, to any witch, warlock, wizard, white magic, black magic, any of that. Close all doors before you close your eyes. And make sure you repent. That's a must. All right. Much love and much respect. And I'll see you guys mañana. I love you guys with all my heart. I really do. Shalom.